What do you call it? Public hearing.
Audio is live. Yeah, we're good.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Today is Wednesday, June 11th, and I want to call our planning board meeting to order at 6:31 p.m. Okay. Order at 6:31 p.m. That's me. That's you.
That is you, but why are you calling?
And but why are we hearing it? Did you question?
Oh, Hudson.
Can I get a motion to open the public hearing for 6-12 Hudson Avenue?
A second.
All in favor?
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, any presentations? No?
No, we would just request that the application be returned to next month.
Okay, okay, so does anyone from planning board have anything that they want to, questions they want to ask about 6-12? Okay, let's see if the public. has any.
Is there a specific reason?
Well, working with Christian, you know, turn the list, people, while we're waiting for Christian and our engineer to go through.
Okay, that's what that status of it.
And Victoria and I will be to go through the box.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody raise their hand in the public that have a question about 612 Hudson? So that is the motion. Can I get a motion to continue the public hearing till next month, which will be July 9th.
I'll meet with, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I get a motion? Oh, they're not here. Can I get a motion to open up the public hearing for 735 Columbia Street?
A second.
There's been no new information for 735 Columbia Street, so, any questions from the board? Any questions from the, public? You put this in there? Okay, okay, can I get a motion to close 735? To forward it until next month, to July 9th. Motion? Okay,
Second.
all right, all in favor? Okay, can I get a motion to open up the public hearing for the boulevards, which is 117, 119, 121 Park, Fairview? We call it the boulevards, okay? Can I get a motion to open up the public hearing for that? Up to you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, you ready? Present, I want to ask you the first question, Lucy. We have given your resolution to replenish your escrow.
Yes,
Was that done?
we are just waiting on, from, I think, the city clerk, just the accounting for that.
I don't understand. What do you mean?
Just the accounting, so we got the resolution, but we're just waiting for the accounting of where everything has gone.
We're ready to make a change.
Okay, right now as of June 4th, 6 days ago, you had a balance of $1,949.32. $1,949.32.
Positive?
Yes, that's the
But I don't think that's actually right.
No, yeah.
They were paying our list, so.
Yeah, they didn't, right, yeah.
We're holding.
Okay.
So
We're happy to make a payment, we just wanted to get an accurate figure of where we are.
the counting.
So you're looking to get an accurate figure from the treasurer's office on
Who did you?
escrow payments and
My
what you
assistant
paid.
did, I think it was, I don't remember.
It's
if
a
it was
treasurer's
the
office, it's not
The
the-
treasurer, but it was the treasurer, yeah, my assistant had reached out, so that's why I just don't recall, it was the treasurer's office.
Because they sent them right at it.
Sorry?
They sent, if you send an email saying you need it, they send it right to you.
All right, well, I'll double check with my assistant, but I don't think that we received that.
Okay, we, right. Okay. I wasn't sure. Unfortunately. There's gonna be no more reviews on your project from our consultant until. You know.
We'll get that.
get the escrow. Okay, yeah, I understand what you're saying, you wanna know the balance, but one has.
Well, then
One
just.
really has nothing to do with the other, if we ask you to replenish. If we ask for you to replenish, you can replenish, and then you will get the savings. But, you know, don't hold up the replenish. It's like, don't hold up your rent because your landlord is not fixing the apartments.
I am happy to provide a check tonight.
You know,
Just gotta put my car, but I'll do that as soon as we.
thank you.
I'll do it.
We'll take the check, Gene will take your check.
I'm sure he will.
Thank you so much, appreciate it. Okay. Yeah, and contact the treasurer's office, they send them out right away.
Yeah.
They really do, they don't hold it up. All right, let's go.
So we're here now, it's our 1 year anniversary. We came in and presented in June of last year. Yes. And I know some of the members weren't here at that point in time. And we came in with a very different plan than we have now. And over that year, we've made substantial modifications, reduced certain things, changed the plan in some substantial ways. We think we've improved it. We think we are getting close to where it's a very, very fine project for Hudson. The type of housing, we still believe very strongly and based upon all accounts that it's necessary and that people, especially young people, need good, clean apartment living to be in the city of Hudson.
Okay, did you, remember, I think we had a meeting or something with the committee? And they gave their recommendation? Or you were there?
We had a meeting with, Victoria and.
Me and, two of the committee members
Yeah, your
couldn't get
committee
on.
members had met or something. You did make some suggestions about some things that we could do, and we will talk
Okay, yeah,
about.
we have those suggestions tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, but I prepared a memo, you know, we've been talking about lot mergers and density, and I would formally request that the planning board seek an opinion on the interpretation of the code from either the code enforcement office or the zoning board of appeals in connection with those lot mergers. As you have indicated, you believe they fall under the subdivision section of the city as well as the density section.
you want us to seek it? I thought you said you were gonna do that.
I can see, you have to seek it.
Oh, okay, because I thought at the last meeting, I think that's the Sunday.
Well, it was on our telephone call, I had mentioned that it would be helpful if we got an opinion from either the zoning board of appeals or the code enforcement office. Those are the two agencies here in the city that have the authority to interpret the code.
Okay, we're gonna have to look that over and
Yeah,
get back to you.
Yeah, but I don't see that.
So you're not going to, you said you can't, because we were all in the impression that you were going to seek that.
It's my understanding that you all have to ask for that opinion. But in any event, I don't think that I think that the planning board has interpreted the code, and I think they've done so correctly. I don't see that the planning board has authority over either the density section in the code or lot mergers.
Okay, I understand the same thing. Okay,
But we've tried to be as responsive as we can. And Walter has a list of all the things that he's done to the project, and I think it might be useful to just review.
Okay, sure. As Lou said, we've been here for a year, and there are new members and some new consultants, and I know that it's a new game in town and so forth, but we thought it would be useful just to kind of hit a few of the high notes that we've gone through in the last year to try and make the project better at the planning board's request. So number one, the real big one was we wanted to have our entrance on Fairview Avenue. And the planning board said, that's a terrible idea. We don't want that. We had spent a lot of time and energy getting that worked out so that it would function and got DOT to sign off, that we got the traffic studies. So that was a big change that we made at your request. There had been about 6,500 square feet of commercial space in the building. People said that's too much commercial, the parking, for this, for that. So we cut it in half. We took out 50% of the commercial and we replaced it with ground floor residential units. And at the same time that we responded to that, we were also told that the head-in parking that we had proposed for Parkwood was not, I mean, it was doable. The DOT and everybody had reviewed it and said it was okay. The planning board was uncomfortable with these head-in spaces coming, you know, as you came in off of the highway. So we did change that. And then the entire building was shifted to the east and reduced in size. Now that may not sound like a lot, but after all of the apartments were laid out and we've done all the planning of the building, that was an enormous amount of work, a substantial change. We think for the better, but again, you know, for those of you who don't, we have the lengths that we've gone to so far to meet your wishes, it's useful to kind of, just run through it a little bit. Another biggie for us was we wanted to have the trash access on Fairview. We thought that was very logical, usually early in the morning, et cetera. People were not happy with that, so we moved it around to Parkwood, and along with moving to Parkwood, we created some potential problems for the residential neighbors on that street. So we have created a kind of lovely little garden for garbage with a trash room behind it. So no one will ever be inconvenienced or have to be, you know, wait for a garbage truck to go by and do their thing or whatever. You know, this may or may not have been the planning board, but we had a lovely row of trees along Fairview Avenue. That was a big part of our concept. We took those out. We were told that that was not going to work. And then, you know, because we have moved everything around and redone our circulation, we ended up getting in a situation where the electrical lines on Parkwood are going to have to be buried in order for the fire apparatus to reach the building, okay, because we changed the access. So these are substantial changes that were made at the planning board's request, and we agree that it has improved the building, but we also feel that we're at a point where we've been in a very long process with you, with many, many months of revisions following. And I'm not complaining, I'm just trying to tell some people that are new that this is not a new project. It's been before the board for a while, and many, many issues have been raised and addressed. A couple things that we're doing voluntarily at your request. The other things I think you have absolutely every right to say you must do this. Things we think we could push back on. You're following your requirements for uplighting. You're not going to have any uplighting, even though that would be a very nice feature on the commercial building. We were asked to keep it dark sky code because of the neighborhood. So we're going to do that. We're basically going to have residential lighting levels, you know, on the project and on the site, and we will, you know, work with you to refine those as necessary. Christian has asked for, we will get you the lighting specifics on all of the technical, you know, diagrams to tell you exactly how low the electricity is going to be. And then there was a request to follow erosion and sediment control best practices, and we're happy to do that. You know, that's kind of tied in with the whole separation question with the city, but it's not required. It's an expense for him. It's a difficult thing for our engineer to do. So I guess it's pretty obvious what I'm trying to say is we have worked very hard to meet the expectations, the asks, and the demands of the planning board. And so I think we are, now that we're a year into this, we're within our rights to ask you to consider just closing it out, giving us an okay subject to engineering, and, you know, fulfilling the technical requirements. Because what happens is every month we come in, something changes, someone has an idea, we change the project, that sets in motion a whole number of things that we then have to readjust. And I think we've just come to a point where we feel we're at a good place with the project. And so we request you consider that, and I'll be happy to hand out. Thank you.
And Crawford Engineering has been working with the city engineer, with Christian, and they've had meetings and gone through his list of items. And she has addressed those. Do you want to just talk about the parking and traffic and the updates?
Sure. Well, I know we just maybe 10 minutes ago received your comments on the updated traffic and parking study. So I don't have time to.
I'm sorry. Sorry, you just said this.
Of course, I wanted to surprise you with my speech and now.
My emailing it, it pays out longer if you really the computer.
I could.
But back to traffic and parking, right? So since the last round, we did update the studies to reflect the new site plan that had accommodated the numerous items Walter had listed. What we also did is we collected extra data through field measurements of traffic conditions on 3 separate days. We did also go back through the parking study and just triple check, we were as conservative as possible. We're assuming only one-sided street parking. We're discounting all the driveways, we're discounting all the fire hydrants, we're discounting all the sharp turns. So, you know, we went through and put a lot of thought into that. I see we just received comments maybe like 10 minutes ago, so I haven't had a chance to digest those or respond to them.
That's a quick question. What is your parking number now?
You mean
I'm curious.
on site?
I'm sorry. That's what I'm curious. What's that?
27.
27. Yeah,
27.
yeah, and you know, as we had discussed in a meeting last week with a few of the members, but not more. We did look into density relative to other properties in the GC or the GCT zone. We found some highlights. I'd like to summarize and put it on the record to you guys after the meeting, but some highlights include, we found 4 other multifamily properties in GC or GCT zones that had less number of parking spaces per unit. We found 3 other locations which had more units per acre in the GC and GCT zone. And we found 4 other instances in multifamily buildings that were more stories taller than our proposed project in the GCT and the GC zones. So that will summarize in a letter to you folks so that that analysis can also be understood. What's that?
With the specifics.
Correct.
Well, I just want to say this, and I'm just saying this from my personal opinion of what you're saying. While we appreciate, or I appreciate as the board, all the things that you've done, you've also commented that the project has gotten better. And our job as a planning board is to have a project that is in line with what, you know, with the community standards, what you want to do and what the city wants to see. And I don't think it's really kind of a matter of kind of what we've done as much as what ultimately needs to be done. So with respect to, you know, everything you said, we have made substantial changes. They made the project better. But, you know, we're still going to look at this from the point of view is it where it needs to be for now, as in terms of what the public needs to see. And yes, it's been a year, but the building that you're going to build is going to be there 50 years. Hopefully. And the neighborhood that you are going to be in has been there over 100 years. So we've got to look at things in perspective. That's my opinion.
Appreciate that. Our lots are on Route 9. So across the street is Valero gas station. Across the street is National Grid. Across the street is a car wash.
So we still have the 30 apartments, right?
Yes.
And the 20 parking spaces.
27.
Wait, 20 parking spaces will be apartments, right? Or 27.
27.
Okay, so we have 30 apartments and 27 parking spaces, and we have 1 commercial spot,
An office.
okay, with 20 employees.
No, it would be a maximum of 7, 8.
7 or 8 attorneys or 7 or 8.
When
I
it,
think we were
Total.
positive of the track,
Total.
the board staff included.
It's just another instance when
And
they
their clients that come in.
Arcade.
Their traffic and their parking analysis have 20.
Right,
So
so
with-
another instance where we've been conservative,
Yeah.
not, you know.
is it gonna be 20
Constrained.
employees?
No.
Do they have to change that?
There should be something reflecting.
What's gonna,
But yeah,
because I was gonna ask today, the 20 employees in the commercial spot, does that include the attorneys?
It's not 20, it's really 8. And it's a total number that is attorneys and whatever staff would be there. Total,
So 8,
yes.
I mean, that will just reduce, you know, our anticipated number of trips during.
and how many parking spaces for commercial?
That would be on street.
Okay, but that's not what we saw. Okay, so. This,
I believe there's 26 spaces too. I don't know, 27. We were all working off 26, so.
Yeah.
It was, I think Walter had them differently marked. He had 20 residential, 7 commercial.
right,
Yes.
Still 26 though.
There's still 26 votes, but
We lost the space because of that handicap.
we lost one.
So that means it's 25.
26. I apologize.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware that we lost one.
And are the spaces gonna be designated commercial or residential? Meaning, can a residential person park in commercial spaces
I would assume at night they could,
during the day?
during the day, that would be reserved for the commercial.
It's gonna have signage.
Yes.
Okay. That's something that you get.
So in other words, 30 apartments, 20 spaces or 26 spaces will be residential.
So the way it's laid out here is 20 spaces dedicated to the apartments,
Mhm.
6 spaces dedicated to the commercial. But there are different times of day that they would need usage, so they could be used by either.
Still with 12 spaces and then about 12 spaces, 12 spaces or something. We thought it would be more.
So you're saying, worst case scenario, if each apartment had a vehicle, your maximum impact would be 3 cars on the street.
Yes. Yes.
Would be correct.
And we've looked at the other projects, the other approved projects, where you have 140 units with 40 parking spaces. So our ratio is, I think, very reasonable and well within those.
Particularly with the available parking in the neighborhood. On the street.
And in terms of the use of the property, it's commercial, so it could be gas station, could be a drive-through. It could be virtually anything that would not be in the best interests of the neighborhood. We think this project has an ability to raise the neighborhood up.
It's amazing because all up until now, I was working on 8 commercial spaces.
There's 8 offices,
Something like
Yeah,
that.
there are 8 rooms in that.
Right, like 20 employees, so that's.
No,
okay.
it's one person per office and that's it. There are no common areas, there's no bullpen for assistants. It's just people in their offices.
Okay, so that's down to 8 now.
And
All this.
I don't,
Yeah, that's. what's-
I'm not aware of the 20 number. I'm not sure where that came from, but
the 20 people all report.
okay.
So you're gonna have to change that and submit it to us.
Yeah,
The residential.
the 20 employees in the commercial.
We can.
So we should be-
We might, that might be a leftover from when we had we had 2 commercial spaces.
So
to
they.
start. And that might have been one, yeah.
You know, a project down there, you guys do a project down there.
They're giving us 20.
Project narrative.
So
Yeah.
we're not there.
I don't believe that we have, no.
That's easy.
Yeah.
Okay, so there,
Would that be helpful?
yeah,
Right.
it's for all our new projects, especially large commercial ones, that's.
We're talking about the parking report, we should continue to say 20 is at the worst case scenario, because if that's what the space can handle based on its size. You know, once it's approved and he's very successful, he could just hire more people, or, you know, there's nothing stopping someone from occupying with that many people, so. The commercial space, the parking should be based on a number of the size of the space, which is what I assumed it is.
So the 2 commercial spaces would have had more, but the one is just, it's 8 individual offices and that's the whole space. If you look at Walter's design, it's just those 8 offices and they're only occupied by individuals. So there's no teams in there. It's one person per office.
But the worst case scenario will be 20.
I mean, that's what you propose.
By far.
That's-
Yeah, the real number is 8. If you want to use 20, that's fine.
Well, we were using what you said.
Originally, I think that might have been a leftover from when we had two commercial spaces.
I should check, because I know at least one, whether it was the parking or the trip, we were based on square footage. And so
Okay.
the number of employees was irrelevant in that particular case.
Right.
But I think one of the 2, the best data was based on number of employees, so we can double check that, you know, if anything, what I'm hearing is. We might have been conservative and our actual impact would be less than what was previously.
But I think it's better to stay conservative, because there, again, there's nothing, once it's occupied, to stop someone from, you know, taking down a cubicle and making a conference room, or, you know, moving it around.
Half the people want to say that. Maybe it doesn't want to be a law, say more, it wants to be
Center.
a call center. still an office space, doesn't need to come back before the board, but would substantially affect the property.
So they're gonna stay with the number of.
Yeah, I mean, if that, I don't see it, change it.
Okay, so, because when you're working from that, that's a great impact.
I'll address that in my narrative. The intended use of the office space and the design and layout. Everything can change, but that's the intent.
Just to reiterate, this is in the general commercial zone, and there are uses allowed in the GCT that are much more impactful than this project would be. I mean, it could be a Dollar General, it could be the Stewart's, except for the fact that both of them are chains, so it would fall outside of the code, but if something similar should go in that space, it would certainly have a much greater impact.
And they're probably going to the planning board have the same issue.
I do think somebody touched on the fact that there's a day-night thing going on here. We have essentially during daytime, potentially half-empty parking lot. All the residences are out. So I think this is an internal thing that can be resolved. The city has done a great deal to reduce waste parking, I call it, where you have just sea of spaces that are never occupied. I think a good example is probably the city center, which I swear I've never seen more than 25% occupancy in there. And there's such a thing as too much parking. So we're not trying to be disrespectful, we're trying to be thoughtful. And this is an environmental question too, it really is.
I mean, I took a look at it. But I think it's it's what the committee discussed, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just wanted to take the time to sign this, so, that was made up of J.D. Susan and I discussed over the last couple of
Is
years.
this the report referenced in the
We have a,
number 4?
we have a,
There's something on the agenda, like.
There's an
after-
agenda item listing a report on the boulevards.
Oh, no, yeah, that is, yeah, subcommittee report. But I think it should be done now, sorry. For the wrong spot.
I think we'd rather that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
so I see, yeah, we had that later, I think that makes sense to do that now.
Yeah, I just put it in the wrong spot.
Okay, so we just wrote a letter, and we can send this to you after as well, but it's really for the planning board to discuss as well, since I was in the committee and aware of this stuff about. So,
Wait, first you got a copy of it, you got a copy, I sent everybody.
yeah,
And to be clear, this is not necessarily the planning board decision, it is a report from the committee, less than the majority of the planning board for discussion.
exactly.
Right.
So the subcommittee formed to further evaluate the Boulevard's application. We met twice since the last planning board meeting. We've consulted with our attorney and engineer about questions and concerns that have come from our conversations. The section of the zoning code that continued to come up for us is 325-18, which states, just for the rest of the planning board and the general public, density shall be determined by applying the area and use dimensions set forth in the schedule of bulk and area regulations to the net parcel size. As a result of features unique to a parcel or lot, the planning board may, through site plan or subdivision review, reduce density below the density otherwise permissible according to the application of the schedule of bulk and area regulations to the net parcel size, as the planning board deems necessary to protect the public health, safety, and welfare. So multiple concerns did come up regarding the public health, safety, and welfare, in addition to the character of the neighborhood. Through our conversations, which have led us to maybe make some asks or discussion topics with the rest of the board to mitigate that prevention concerns. So the first topic is density. As a whole, the density of the proposed building is a concern, given the effects it would have on the traffic, affecting the health, safety, and welfare of the local neighborhood. Furthermore, the most recent iteration of the project shows that merged lots have a combined area of 0.54 acres. 3 of the lots are in the R2 zoning district, which does not permit multi-family dwellings, but allows 18.15 units per acre. The applicant's proposal is significantly denser than the surrounding zoning of the adjacent and underlying R2 zoning district. Since the R2 zoning was the intended zoning of 3 of the lots, this comparison may be considered by the planning board to evaluate the potential impacts to community character. So the subcommittee thinks that the building should be reduced to 16 units for the following reasons. A reduced size will better fit the neighborhood's character and pose less threats to public safety and health. And as proposed, there are 26 parking spots, 20 for residential and 6 for commercial. With the reduced building size to 16 units, which is effectively locking off the top floor, there would be enough parking spaces for each residential unit and for the 8 offices proposed within the building. This is considering that the commercial space will likely have even more visitors on a daily basis due to clients coming into the office. And the second topic that we were just considering as well is the environment, which the proposed building will have significant environmental implications impacting the local neighborhood. This relates to traffic congestion, pedestrian safety and less green space. We would propose one, or at least as an ask, add a living room with tenant access to the top of the building to promote sustainability and livability. Adding sidewalks and crosswalks to Oakwood, Parkwood, Paddock Place and Glenwood to promote the safety of the community's residents and visitors. And then lastly, adding a sidewalk on Fairview from the proposed building to the Aldi grocery store to promote public safety and welfare. We believe these asks modify the proposed project to benefit the neighborhood and to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the community. And I'd like to hear the rest of the board's thoughts. We have thought through that.
Jim? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we got this report from him, yeah. Well, no, we got it yesterday, right?
You would find it yesterday after
Yes,
our
yeah.
last negotiation.
So, no, you want a copy now? You want some? Yeah, you want to see that?
Yeah. Thank you.
This is what.
Well, we're gonna send it to you. We want to get some stuff first.
Yes, just as
Yeah.
Gloria said, just because those are the asks, the subcommittee, which is a small part of it, doesn't match the asks.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
I guess I'd like to just bring up for discussion, given that at least the subcommittee feels very strongly that the project as proposed, is not appropriate in size density. Is this a situation where, the board wants to lean towards the POSDAC, doing EIS, or are we not going down that path? That's an option, and if it's going to be an option, it needs to be done earlier rather than later, because, so the client, the applicant understands what the process is going to be.
so, but we're still talking about 30 residential with 20 parking spaces.
Currently, yeah,
Currently.
that's the proposal.
And
Sorry, as the project stands, from what I understand from our conversation with the subcommittee, that we would vote for the positive declaration. Yeah.
And then we're talking about now only 8 spaces for commercial. There was a mention of 20. 20 commercial, like 20 employees, right, coming into that office space. Which means that you're gonna have, you take, 12, 8 and 20 is 12. You're only gonna have 6 parking spaces for 20 people coming into work, but you're not having that now.
We're not proposing that because that's actually not how an industry standard would predict the amount of parking used. It's not, the ITE does not support a 1-to-1 ratio in an urban environment, nor for a commercial space of this size.
But you
So
put it
the
in.
numbers that I put in the report reflect data collected by the ITE, an engineering institution or organization that collects data and looks at different projects similar to this. And 1-to-1 is simply, it feels like what you expect, but it's not what the data shows.
I'd like to understand from the board members, what in your minds makes this project, this location, different from other multifamily projects that the board has approved, where, they didn't provide, a lot of off-street parking, or at least a 1-to-1 ratio of off-street parking. Why is it different here?
I haven't previously been on too many of the multifamily buildings, but when I look at the GCT, that's in a really different part of Hudson, and that's much more of a transitional zone in terms of the industry that is there. It's historically disinvested, where this is a community that's been there for a while, community single family homes. I think they're very different types of districts, which dictates a different type of building to me.
Shouldn't the code be updated to reflect what the city wants? I mean, this is a by right project.
Well, but Crystal, we understand that the code says it's allowed, but it doesn't necessarily mean that then you don't need a planning board. So we're looking at the impact that it will have on that neighborhood. you know, so the code may say one thing, that's very true.
Well, no, the board's following the code,
Yeah,
so.
and we are
Said
following
it's
it.
allowed, provided the planning board finds it's appropriate. And all the requirements are met, so is there something about the on-street parking that's also different here than in the other neighborhoods?
In a sense, I see that, because number one is a horseshoe neighborhood. Because I don't think people are gonna walk further than that horseshoe. That means when you go, Parkwood comes around to Oakwood. And I don't think anybody's gonna go any further if you build the building. So I was going on the premises of, if you brought in 20 employees and you're getting 6 parking spaces, where are they gonna park?
Well, we don't have 20 employees.
Right, but I'm going on what was submitted to us.
Okay.
And then you're gonna have 30 apartments with 20 parking spaces, that leaves 10 people. You're gonna have high-end apartments where you don't have low incomes. I'm going on the premises because I did do some research, most people are gonna have a car. Then that it's probably gonna be one car and maybe 1 or 2 people in an apartment. So let's say you get a car for every apartment. So you have 30 apartments, 20 parking, that's 10 people. So you got 10 for the residential,
We have 38 legal parking spaces and then we asked that we take.
but you couldn't fit, I don't think you were able to fit 30.
Absolutely, you had 10 parking spaces.
Well, they had the heading spaces on
Parkwood,
Parkwood.
yeah.
Did the board actually request that they be removed, or did the board request that they be looked at?
I think that it interfered with the flow of the traffic on the street.
Okay.
I don't even think it was, you know,
But I
So once
they
you
have
look at
the
the
design.
intersection, we're probably.
yeah.
Right.
What would make this project different than, say, the housing project?
The area
which is on
in which it's being
7th
built
Street?
in.
Let me finish my question, which has less available parking in the neighborhood, more units, less off-street parking than what this project is proposing.
Seven,
In terms of parking, yeah.
they have a park, they go to park.
Well, they have, I think, 40 spaces in their
Right,
parking spot for
135.
135 units.
Yes. so
Yeah,
it's-
we provide more parking for
And they
units.
have less available parking spaces in that neighborhood, so I'm wondering what makes this project, what distinguishes this project.
I think Ben addressed that by saying it's a different, those boulevards create a whole different climate than 7th Street. It's very different.
And isn't a space there?
Well, I would ask the planning board, let's shift off the boulevard. Look at Fairview, how do you imagine Fairview in 10 or 15 years? Is it gas stations and convenience stores and motels, or is it more like a boulevard that people would live on near the shopping? Because, I'm sorry, I'm a new urbanist. I think if you're gonna build apartment buildings in Hudson, you build them on the boulevards. Transportation comes there, the store is there, so there's a neighborhood that is a beautiful neighborhood that should be honored and protected, but there's a city that doesn't have enough housing. And I'm getting very frustrated. I can't build housing anywhere in the city. I can fix up old buildings. So kingdom come, I can get 24 apartments in that building, 10 in that, I can't get anything to come out of the ground. I think you guys have really gotta think about what's it gonna be in 10 years. It's gonna be gas stations. He's gonna end up getting a convenience store on the site as of right, with some nice parking on 3 sides. I mean, please think about this. So that's what you want, right?
We keep hearing the public now.
Yeah.
Discussing, can we discuss it after?
Yeah, of course.
Public?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll respond to your letter in writing
Yeah.
and go through the code with you. So that we can have another step.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to see, I'd like to take a look at it and then match this up with your last proposal. And if you could correct, and even though I guess the part of discrepancy is you're just saying that the number that you initially gave of the 20 employees that were in the thing, which actually weighed heavily on the way we're looking at the project, that was a not only conservative number, but that was a number that what you said is that it was inaccurate. As
Well, I don't
compared to
think-
what you really want to do.
Last, she said, it's not that it's inaccurate, it's conservative, right? Because the number of employees can change.
In other words, it's the worst case scenario.
Right.
Right,
The
we're,
maximum.
and yet we're still, not seeing a change in level of service. That was one of the additional analyses we did. But anyway, we'll.
So that is the number, so we're actually gonna consider at that level, because you're saying that's what it could be, not what you plan, that's not how you plan to use it, but that's what it could be.
Well, I wanted to talk to my client about what you want to assume, right? And, what you want to be limited to. And
The people in that office space would be 8 people in 8 offices. That's the design.
I do have a question. Off of Parkwood, there's an extra lot that you're not leasing, that's leased by the same people that your driveway's going through. Is there any opportunity for potentially converting that to a parking, leasing that to get the more space?
I've approached him. So far, not successful.
Yeah, today I noticed that they were parking RV and boat.
And that might be something else that helps the discussion,
How many parking spaces would you want to see?
that's not my fault, that's the board's fault.
It looked to me just on my casual observation, scientifically done, you could fit probably 10 cars in that spot. I would think,
Yeah, that's
which I think that would eliminate any of these issues that we're talking about, of the issues regarding cars.
And we did notice the signs are still up where there's no parking, it's for parking. On Oakwood, the signs are still up, there's no.
My
parking on that
understanding is
side.
that's going to be permanent.
Yeah, so
And our.
no one
attorney
can park,
assumption
you know,
is-
you can't, yeah, no,
Are
not even the
ones-
people that live there can park there.
Well, but that's
So-
not what we observed in the field. When we were in
Yeah,
the
I
field collecting data, we assumed only one side of the street.
Oh, you
of
did?
Parking, yeah, we assumed only
That was
one
right,
side.
it's
Because
recent,
I thought, hey, there's gonna be snow removal, people are gonna need to park on one side, this was before they even had, the change. So we were that conservative to begin with.
One of the questions that came out in traffic report, which said, the roads Parkwood and Oakwood are only 22 feet wide. And when you take up 8 feet of that with parking, depending upon if you're putting that many parking spots out onto that road, you're not gonna have doing problems, because you basically turn that road into a one-way road. So, think about it, as you're driving down, you're got another guy coming at you, car coming at you. And if you've got 7 or 8 parking spaces, who goes, first? You're gonna create queuing problems, because you've now reduced it to that one. Something to think about, how that's gonna affect that road.
You know,
jog my
today-
memory.
The day I was there, there was only one, and I was turning up, what is the street that has no parking on it? Oakwood, and I'm telling you, it was rough. I was turning into Oakwood, somebody was turning out, and the person was in the middle of the street, it was rough. It was rough, so,
And as mentioned, in the morning, the school buses are on that road, that makes it even doubly more difficult, because those are wider than most vehicles, and they have a longer turning radius, so they need more room to negotiate.
We're gonna have, however many cars are leaving at whatever time, and let's say everybody has their coffee and jumps in their car at the same time. They're gonna be stuck in our lot. The school buses are gonna block them. The neighbors frankly are gonna block them. They won't get a courtesy gap like we do at Stewart's. And they'll have to wait till everybody's left the neighborhood, and then they'll be able to come out of the parking lot. This is the fallacy of this argument. They're bottled up.
Yeah, but it's not just your car coming out of your parking lot, it's how you're affecting the traffic on Oakwood and Parkwood by parking. That's the potential problem.
Okay.
it is.
Yeah, and people don't wait orderly in an orderly queue in the morning, then you gotta get to work. They're gonna be competing and fighting to get in that space. So that's just normal traffic pattern.
It's,
So if you could look at, potentially picking up spots, that would get us open board, I think.
okay, we have so much on our agenda, so we're gonna move to the public. So that we can, this is the discussion that will continue.
Thank you for joining us.
Okay, could I get the public, we didn't get a sign-in sheet today, so I'm gonna just let me know who's first. Okay,
Just want to mention that,
wait a minute, mention, what is your name, sir?
my name is, Brian Nix.
Ryan.
Lived on Oakwood for 30 years. I grew up in Hudson,
on the street in time with prior to that. The biggest issue here, guys, as far as residents go, once again, safety and parking. One of the residents, it wasn't showing out, was out on their porch 4 days ago, in the morning, on a Friday. In 45 minutes, 97 cars went down Wall Street.
Which street's that?
Oh,
Yeah,
Not having buses.
no buses. This is.
no, that's a well-traveled street.
This is parents,
Yeah.
teachers, and support for the school. 97 in less than an hour, okay? Now, you have people that park off the drive, that have drivers, that are looking to back out. It's rough now. And where this proposed parking is on that street, guys, it's not there. It really isn't there. You come down from the corner, there's a hydrant, which eliminates 2 spaces. There might be room for 4 cars, maybe, on a good day. That's if no one's on the street. And these are very real concerns for myself. Seriously. I'm gonna have to compile a list. Issue, probably 120 names. There was one person. Nothing. It's just, it needs to do that, we're gonna do. I know something's going in there, but buildings. And
What do you said you started a petition, we ain't gonna take it.
no, just concerned residents, they asked us to start a petition
Oh,
against, this project as it is now. That's all.
okay.
No disrespect.
Do you have a copy?
Not with us, sir, but it will be submitted.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Then, next person,
I'm curious about me.
your name.
Teresa Nicholson. I saw this. Nice name. Just to add on to what Brian said, we did do a demonstration on 8 parking slots, which was what the project manager said that there was enough that there was enough parking on the street. It was just on the one side and it was all bottled up. There is not enough parking on that off-street parking for that project. Now, if there is a car parked on this side of my driveway and on this side, and also I want to say the exit for that project is directly across from my driveway. Directly across.
You're on,
Oakwood. And so if there's a car on either side parked of my driveway, there is no way you can see what's coming around the corner on either direction, especially coming off of Fairview. On a good day now, they just zoom right down. I can't tell you how many times I've almost gotten hit. Screech, cars waiting, it's just crazy. And like Brian said, we had a neighbor, but it was before the demonstration even, who, and it's not Sean. And they sat on their porch and they filmed with their phone, like he said, 97 cars. In an hour, not counting the buses. The demonstration showed that there is not enough parking. And we have children on this street. I have talked to the parents who are very frightened for their children to go outside, ride their bicycles. And, it's a neighborhood. We raised 2 children in our neighborhood where it used to be my son, he was 5 years old, would go next door to Pete Nero's house or Mr. Canopy on the corner and sit and have, animal crackers and stuff. This is the kind of neighborhood it is. This is a residential neighborhood. And this is how we would like, to keep it. Has always been in Hudson that you aspire to live on the boulevards because it was a great place to raise your children. And this is just going to add
so much more traffic and safety issues. I'm probably leaving stuff out, but, and I read the online emails. And they say, a lot, and I agree with a lot of what they're saying. So, and a lot of what the report was about the parking and such, so. Safety is always the number one issue.
Pat Malloy, Hudson, Mr. Foreman, you.
That little,
Pat Malloy. The subcommittee, what was that? I didn't hear the beginning of it, the report that you read about downsizing the project.
we're gonna post that report also.
We'll post it, but essentially we decided that 3 members of the planning board would meet to evaluate the application again and with our consultant and attorney separately to figure out what it would take for us to feel comfortable with the project moving forward, given the concerns around public safety, health, and welfare.
I just didn't hear the beginning.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yes.
Very cool. Mind if I just do a real quick little traffic study? Great. Did you know?
What's your name?
My name's Sean Allison, I'm at 13 Oakland Boulevard. Did y'all know actually that the only prop that Einstein had when he did his theory of relativity was a piece of chalk? All right, so check it out. This is the way that looks, right? Let's do them one at a time. I'm by myself. All right, we use a black marker for the flow of traffic on Fairview, right? So they can go this way on this side, right? And they can turn in here. They can turn in here. They can turn here. Here, right? These people coming this way, they can go here. They can go here. They can go here. They can go here. Or they can go here, right? That's just the people already on Fairview. Right, so we'll use blue for people coming off Spring Street, right? So they can go this way, they can go this way. You can go like this. You can go like this. They can go like this. Right? It's just half of the map. Right? Then there's Glenwood. Right? They can go like this. That's about it for that one. Look at that. That is the traffic pattern on 3 of these streets. Right? It all continues on this. Right? They go this way still. And go here. 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 And there, right? These people can go like this. Like this. Like this. And like this. But you gotta remember that there's still these pink and blue lines from the other side. That can go like this, like this, like this, like that, and like that, right? That is, we're adding how many cars to this situation? 60 every day? For no reason whatsoever, except to make one family richer? Does that really make any sense? It's all really is, it's a simple traffic study. Color lines. This project is about nothing more. It's not about the community like they've said, right? It's about making one family and their minions rich. Have a nice night.
Sir?
Lloyd Kenning, Voice of Reason. So I cut through, I take Glenwood to get to where I live when I'm coming from Fairview. So if I'm coming south on Fairview, I make the right on Glenwood. Which is all right, it's a tight little road, you've probably done it, it's a cut through. Now coming the other direction. Okay, when I'm coming, I don't go all the way to Fairview on Glenwood, you know why? It's a blind corner. It's a blind corner, and I'm scared to make that left if I'm going up Fairview from Glenwood. So, I don't, which is the next one over, the middle one, Parkwood's not much better. You still got a blind corner. And it's, so what I normally do is I go all the way to Oakwood. And I make my left. There I have some visibility. As opposed to the other 2 corners. I'm just telling you my experience as your voice of reason here. Thank you.
Sir?
Good evening,
Name?
everyone.
Name.
Justin Elliott, resident city of Hudson. I'm the only resident on Fairview Avenue in this area affected, by this. I make left at my driveway here, turn left on Fairview, not an issue. I make right at my driveway, would not an issue, so I don't share the same, opinion as the last gentleman about turning left on Fairview there. I've heard that concern several times and I don't find it to be an issue. Oftentimes you just have to have patience, have to wait for a few cars to pass, but I find no issue taking the left on the Fairview to better. A couple other things I just wanted to mention, that parking demonstration that was done, did park on both sides of that. They did not park on the one side as said, they did park on both sides. Which created an unfair situation, which led to the no parking space. So when they talk about parking demonstration, just keep in mind they did park on both sides.
So you said they were parking on both sides prior to the demonstration?
No, during that demonstration, it was said tonight that they only parked on one side, they did park on both sides.
Was there both sides of the street parking there prior to any of this?
There was legal, yeah.
It was illegal, both sides of, yeah.
Yep, and the HPD has now put up the parking signs. I will agree with my neighbors, though, the buses, I do believe are an issue. But that is something that I don't believe is something that you are here to address. That's something that we could probably address through the police department and the school bus companies. In my opinion, when they are not picking up a student on that specific block, they're still acting in their commercial status, where they're commercial driver.
But the school buses, then, right?
Yeah, the school buses, they should be seeking alternate route to the school and not coming across, you know. So that I do agree with my neighbors in that opinion, that the school buses should be directed to another street to use the school. They're on Parkwood. They shouldn't be on Parkwood either. There's one bus a day that picks up at the corner of Parkwood and Oakwood. That bus should be using that street as they have to pick up, you know, children on that block, but the rest should be seeking an alternate.
So you're saying that the buses should seek an alternate route as the neighborhood is now?
As it is now,
Right.
yeah, I definitely agree with that, but that's nothing I think the the owners of the property or you guys have to address. I think that's a, police department, school district, bus company issue that could be dealt with separately. Let's see here. In regards to the subcommittee report, what kind of really took me back was asking for a sidewalk all the way to the east. I mean, we're asking for a sidewalk in a whole other town now, town of Greenport, as most of that section is the town of Greenport, and I think asking the owners to build a sidewalk in the town of Greenport is kind of unfair. Besides that, I do want to mention and recall, there was a business, recently, in the site, right, the dentist office was there recently. And I lived there during that when it was occupied, and there was easily 12 to 15 cars a day in that parking area. I saw no difference in traffic from when that building was occupied and in regular use to now. If anything, I think the traffic is equally the same. I don't see a difference. I don't think that business being there and having all those cars every day created not just, or an extra amount of traffic.
Now, that, the dentist, I think his access to the parking lot was off and on, right?
They also use the corner lot on Oakwood and Fairview, which had access to.
Oh, it was also, because I used to go there, it was just, I used to just go to Fairview, I didn't
And
even
then at
know.
the same time, when Oakwood was occupied, and the gentleman there had even report cars at one as well. So I think with, the gentleman occupying one Oakwood previously and the dentist there, with all those headed cars, I don't feel that it made a difference at all. And it did not increase any concerns. What I am hearing tonight are some genuine concerns, but those concerns are there, like, nobody has addressed them to this point. I've lived there for over 10 years now in the location I've been, and this is the first I'm hearing of people actually complaining. I just think the concerns are there, why haven't they been addressed? It's just kind of a curious thing that I've been interested in. So, thank you very much for your.
So what, anybody have a question for me? What is it? So are you, what are your, what exactly is your concern? You have. There's no-
I'm just kind of talking out loud.
Okay.
It's
There's no.
these concerns that are all of a sudden, it seemed like they just spontaneously started when the traffic has been, in school's been there for how many years, 100+ years. So traffic has been going in and out towards the school.
So I just have a question. So you're saying, given all the concerns that you mentioned, you're saying you're in support of this project? Is that what you're saying?
Sense.
Can you repeat that? I didn't.
Are you saying? You mentioned a lot of different issues. I'm asking you, are you in support of this project?
I am in support of the project.
Okay, that's my.
But you're also saying that there's a lot of congestion in that area as it is now without the project.
I'm not saying there's a lot of congestion, no, I don't think there's a lot of congestion, I don't think there will be more congestion based on previous tenants that have been there.
Okay.
I do agree that buses are an issue, but that can be eliminated, that should be eliminated, even if this project doesn't work. If this project were to stop today, then I would say we still need to work on getting buses on the streets.
All right, thank you. Okay, wait a minute, before we go back to those that's talked, is there anyone else that wants to say something that has not said anything?
Is there anyone on?
Well, there's one lady right here.
Vanessa Brenner, I've lived on Oakwood Boulevard many years, I don't now, but I definitely still travel Oakwood, because I live nearby.
Mhm.
I mean, it is treacherous to turn left out of Oakwood, Parkwood, or Glenwood.
And that's now without this part.
Now, I invite you to try to do that 8 o'clock some morning. School buses coming at you this way, school bus teachers, everybody's racing to get to the school 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, that's so-
It's 7:58 and I gotta get my kid to school because I gotta get to work. It's a road rage situation. It's very bad.
Thank you. Wait, I want to go to people that sit there. Okay.
So I'm
Executive
Rose
speaker.
Myers. I live on Parkwood.
Mhm.
I'm also a teacher at the school, so I am traveling during that time. And anytime between 7 and 8, I go in on different times in the morning, 7:30 usually. It is very congested. And also the light at that time, there's certain times of the year, it is very hard to see on any
I
traffic.
mean, sunlight,
Sunlight,
okay.
yeah. But coming around, so turn from on Parkwood, turn left. What everyone here is saying about the traffic congestion is a very serious issue. Just this morning, there were kids riding the bike, buses could not turn because there wasn't enough room for the cars, the buses, and the kids. To have buses have to pick up kids on Parkwood, really, it should be safe enough for them to walk. But it isn't because of the cars and the traffic. And it's an ongoing issue. I'm not sure where this gentleman actually lives, I'm not saying it,
Don't worry about it.
but it is a problem at dismissal, it's a problem, in the morning, and it's just not safe for kids to walk, and it's not safe for anybody to walk, really. And I think the ask to put a sidewalk to Aldi's, I just did that walk the other day, is a very reasonable ask, because if you're asking to put a building there with multiple units, you have to, you want it to be more urban, well, then you have to make it more urban and make it more accessible. Right now, the sidewalks are not accessible. It's not a walking area over there at all. Crossing the street to go to Dunkin' Donuts, crossing the street for any of it, it's completely unsafe to walk. So either you're having a car or you're walking in an unsafe place. There is no safe route, either as a driver or as a walker. So I don't know why anyone would want to put in that spot of that magnitude. It's really creating a lot of stress on the area, and like our neighbors were saying, it's always been a safe place. And we'd like it to continue to be that, and for it to be even safer. And in terms of the concerns over the time, we just got 2 stop signs because there was a lot of speeding down, people trying to race over to Fairview. So people have been voicing traffic.
I did notice that, they got stop signs at every little block,
Yeah.
stop. Okay.
Because people were
That's
racing down Parkwood, those came within the last couple of years. So because people have been concerned about the traffic for a while.
Can I ask you a quick question? I'm
Yes.
Sorry, as you're a teacher at the school?
Yes,
We don't have much insight into that, I don't believe, but I know they mentioned at one point that it would be affordable to teachers at a market rate. I'm curious if the teachers do have a salary that can afford market rate requirements.
no, they do not.
Not in Hudson.
It depends on how long they've been there. Yeah, I used a former teacher there as
And
well.
and then
After a
and
certain
then they only,
Not teachers moving in to the area, coming in at a lower salary rate, no.
That's all.
The district will only compensate up to like 7.
I know, I have to say something. I want to say something.
now, is there any,
This,
wait a minute,
Vicky,
wait a minute, and is there anyone else in the audience that has not spoken, wants to speak? Anybody? Okay, we're gonna get back to the end, so hold on, okay? Now we're gonna go to the.
So Vicky,
Okay.
Vicky, go ahead.
Hi, I just want to say that the public's concerns are valid. And I wish the developer with the planning board would consider reducing the amount of units. So we don't have congestion, that's all.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that? Oh, people didn't hear you.
Yes, what I want to say is that the public's concerns are very valid. And I wish the developer with the planning board would work towards reducing the amount of units. That way we can accommodate the parking situation and there is less congestion, that's all. Did you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're
Thanks.
gonna go back to Lisa now.
Thank you. Justin is correct. I misspoke. There was parking that morning during the demonstration on both sides. But the developer said that there were 8, maybe extra parking spots on the line, Oakwood. But even parking on the side, there was not, there was just not enough. Also, I want to address what he said about the school being there for years. When we first bought our home, that school had 3 grades in it, 3. It was a middle school. Then they added on another grade. Now is pre-K through 5, which is probably quadruple the amount of traffic that you see on that street. It goes directly right to the school, and there are no sidewalks there either, but that's another issue. And also, you could, Mr. Justin is best friends with the Puro family.
Okay.
And I just wanted to say that.
Let's not say that.
I just wanted to say that.
I know.
All
right.
I just want to say that I appreciate that they have made what they feel like are concessions or whatever to make the project better or whatever. But I think what should be kept in mind is if they're standing, if it's a $2,000 a month is current market value roughly as an average, right? 30 units, that's $60,000 a month on apartments alone times 12 is $720,000 a year in rent, right? Plus whatever money they pull out of the lawyer's office, right, which is not gonna be small, I guess it's a lawyer's office, but they have no clients, I'm not really sure, but either way. They're looking north of $800,000 a year to get out of this building, it's gotta be, right? What are they giving to us for that? Nothing. That 100%, that 100% for them, and they want my neighborhood and my neighbors and me to just absorb all the parking like it's no big deal, but it is a big deal. And the only reason they made any of these concessions at all is because they know there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, and that's the only thing they care about.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Yes, you may.
the other thing that gives back to the city is tax revenue. Because right now, there's no tax base for that empty lot and those vacant buildings. So I've met with Mike Tucker at the IDA, we've looked at potentially a pilot, if we have some lower income housing. It would have an ability to bring tax base into the school districts, maybe they can improve their bus routes with better software. It has money for the city, and a good portion of that rent roll comes to the back to the city in the form of taxes. So there is an indirect benefit to the city and a direct benefit to put housing back where it's needed, and there is a need. I think everybody has acknowledged that. I know it's in a place where it may raise issues for the people that live around it, but for the people that live in it, they become your neighbors. That's what it's about.
So did I hear low income?
I'm waiting for Mr. Tucker to get back to me on what the percentages
So
will
you're
be.
gonna possible have another change to this.
Yes,
Okay, so you know what?
They want to cross the street from it.
You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna move on.
Okay.
Because this is a discussion for another day, okay?
thank you.
Thank you. I wanna thank everyone. Any more people on the internet? Any more people on the internet? Brandon, anybody on, they wanna talk?
No,
No? Okay, Jenny?
I'd like to say that I've been doing my own research, you know, I think people think that these are exaggerations about the traffic. They are not, I travel those streets minimum twice a day, usually 4 times a day. And there was a toddler in the beginning, in the middle of Oakwood yesterday at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And nobody supervising him in the middle of the street. So I think we all have to really digest this. We have to review it. And we want, as a board, we want what's best for Hudson. It's not about our needs, it's about Hudson's needs, moving forward in a positive way.
Thank you, Jenny. Okay, so can I get a motion to continue this public hearing for the boulevards until next month?
I'll make a motion.
Second. Oh, so she kept saying something. July 9th, you heard it and I couldn't hear it. That's a shame. Okay, until July 9th.
We made a motion, I made a.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you. Okay. That's it for the public hearing. Okay, now we're showing old business. Old business. Okay. 6:01. Yeah, I'm waiting for the people to move. The boulevards is over. Have a nice evening. Thank you for coming, everybody. So you drink after that. Okay. Don't have to do it. No. Okay, we got 601 Union Street. Are you here to present? This is old business. You guys are coming back.
We are, we're back. Since last when we were here, I think, the board may be aware, we addressed comments from the planning board engineer. He subsequently issued another letter the other day, which really boils down to the 2 remaining technical items, which would be the wastewater engineering report, which would be a technical review condition, as well as the SWIP, finalization of the SWIP. So all of those comments pertain to those items. So, and as the board's aware, we received the no impact letter from SHPO.
Yes, you did.
So I think,
Yesterday.
Yes.
Both parts. The first part was the,
Thank you.
yeah.
so we're here, I think, seeking final approval, negative declaration and vote on the project.
So you guys ready for to do a resolution? To approve the project for 601 Union?
That will go to Randall,
Randall,
Jenny,
Jenny,
and then
Ben, Jean, me.
Teresa.
I read this. I didn't read this, but I read that.
So. there's a follow-up. So if the board doesn't have any more questions, We have put together part 2 of the EAF for you to review tonight, with the questions about the project, its potential impact. And then if you're ready, we do have a draft resolution to complete seeker and to approve the conditions. We can go through these conditions. There's about 17 as drafted, which were taken from Christian's review letter. Mostly they're, conditions that need to be met before the plans can be signed. I sent it to you earlier, I think.
Yeah. Did everybody get it?
No, but just to you, so you can sign it.
The escrow on this project was submitted. The escrow on this check, or on this file, excuse me, was submitted.
Yeah, I think so, right? Yes, for 601.
Oh, I don't, I thought she asked, no.
We takes care of that, and now I don't have to bother with it.
I'm usually set for.
Right, well, let me ask, but we'll confirm that before the plans are signed.
That's true.
So, do you want to walk through some of the conditions, Christian?
Does anybody have a chance to review the condition? Are there any questions on the condition?
You know what the conditions, please?
The conditions are on page 2 of the resolution. They're in bold print. They start with payment of all fees and escrows.
So,
But who filled out this environmental assessment form?
I did.
You did.
Just, it's a guideline for you. You can change the answers if you want. It's just a first draft.
that's why I said, did you send this?
Just trying to make it easier.
Okay.
And that's something we can go line by line and ask your opinion.
Oh,
So you want to start with this one? Yeah, let's start with this one first. So this is the short environmental assessment form. You'll recall with, we've done the longer one.
Yes.
The short one is much simpler. So the first question asks, will the proposed action create a material conflict with an adopted land use plan or zoning regulations?
I agree with the check. How about you guys?
Is that what we agree or disagree?
I mean, I suggested that it won't create a material conflict, but
But
No, yeah, I agree.
if you don't agree with the check, just say so.
okay. Second, will the proposed action result in a change of use in use or intensity of land? Obviously, it is a change of use, but the question is it going to result in a significant impact? Will it be moderate to large or small? Based on all the reports, I was suggesting small, but again, it's your choice.
Just, you can keep, they'll say something when they come to a different check.
Okay, the proposed action, will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community? Or will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause a critical environmental area around this? 5, will the proposed action result in an adverse change in the existing level of traffic or existing infrastructure from a transit, biking, or walkway? Small impact. 6, will the proposed action cause an increase in the use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy opportunities? Small impact. A large impact would require like a new substation. 7, will proposed action impact existing public-private water supplies or public-private wastewater treatment utilities? Small impact. Will it impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic resources? Small impact, and again, SHPO has now weighed in and said no to both cultural and archaeological. 9, will the proposed action result in an adverse change to natural resources? No or small impact. 10, will proposed action result in an increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems? No or small impact. Will it create a hazard to environmental resources or human health? No or small impact. So based on that, the board could consider granting a negative declaration tonight or granting a negative declaration, and we put that into the main resolution. They don't have to make a separate motion.
You can say this so I can sign it and send it to Tracy.
Yeah, that was
that.
So then if you go to the main resolution, the first page and a half is just recitation of some of the facts surrounding the project. just so if we ever pull the resolution, we can remind ourselves what we're looking at. It says, now therefore be it resolved that the planning board hereby determines that the project will not result in any potentially significant adverse environmental impacts, and that a draft environmental impact statement will not be prepared. Be it further resolved, the planning board hereby grants conditional site plan approval to the site plan set and authorizes the chair or her authorized designee to sign the site plan set after compliance with the following conditions. 1, payment of all fees necessary. 2, incorporation of revised sheet L101, in which the gate is highlighted in red, and mechanical sheet MSK1 into the final site plan set. These were sheets that were just given, new sheets that were provided that need to be inset into the big sets. Approval by the city of Hudson attorney and common council of a public access easement in the portion of the sidewalk in front of the northeast building elevation. That's where the public sidewalk jets into private property. Approval by the planning board engineer of the SWIP. Confirmation by the planning board engineer that the applicant has obtained a sewer extension permit from the city of Hudson and approval of the sewer connection as part of the city's speed permit. 6, addition of a note on sheet C-2, which reads as follows: events between November 1st and March 31st of each year shall not exceed 125 guests. 7, addition of a note on sheet C-2, which reads as follows: the rooftop shall not be used by guests. 8, addition of a note on sheet C-4, which reads as follows: all hotel lighting except walking paths shall be shut off by 10 p.m. each night. 9, addition of a note on sheet L101, which reads as follows: the applicant shall install a row of arborvitae along the rear boundary line, which abuts 601 Union Street. I actually need your input on this because I don't know how many arborvitae you want them to plant. This is the critical.
I'm just gonna say what is it.
Arborvitae is a pine tree. It's a pine evergreen tree.
It
Real
provides
soft.
screening.
Okay.
It provides screening.
It's a screening tree.
A tree, is it tall?
It can be long. They can get up
How tall do you have seen them?
at least 6 feet. They usually are installed about 4 to 6 feet,
Oh,
but they can get 15 to 20 feet tall.
So how tall are we asking?
6 feet is kind of planting, but
Oh,
the
6 feet.
question that I had is, this was something that they are proposing in order to, I guess it's part of your discussion with the neighbor. I just don't know how many you're proposing to plant.
Are they on the plan?
They need to be shown, so it needs to be a number.
Yeah, we just show on a continuous hedge, so, it depends a little bit on the species of arborvitae, so there's green giant, there's emerald green, they all have different diameters, so its intention is to be a continuous hedge. So whatever that stem spacing is over that line.
Right, but so I'm trying to make this a condition, so you don't have to come back to us with a new plan set. So I wanted to be clear, so we can say, yes, they've met that.
I think if you say a continuous hedge and all of a sudden you go and they're 30 feet apart with gaps in it, then you, right?
But you plant them with gaps initially, because
So,
they
yeah.
go around it. So
Correct. Yeah.
what if we say to form a continuous hedge? As approved by the planning board engineer, you're gonna have to give them a species and a planting.
Yeah,
That's your
that's
thing.
easy enough. Okay.
So.
Okay, which butts it, we're gonna cross out, we can say to form a continuous hedge, in, spacing and species as approved by planning board engineer. And at least 6 feet in height of time of planting. Is that fair?
Can you repeat that? Can you repeat that, because I can hear you.
Oh, sure, it says the applicant shall install, so we want them to revise the plan to show this hedge. So it'll be to show, well, actually, we want them to show the hedge now.
It's on the landscape plan, I just don't think the stem counts there, it's just showing.
Okay. Well, the note's gonna say the applicant shall install a row of arborvitae along the rear boundary line, which abuts 61 Union Street, to form a continuous hedge in space and species as approved by the planning board engineer and at least 6 feet in height at time of planting.
So that means you're planting them at 6 feet, so we don't have.
Yes.
I've been on my house for 20 feet now.
6 feet. This, what it's, yeah.
You start at 3 feet, depends on where you buy it, deer level. And deer level, because all my problems are wrong.
So should we choose a more appropriate shrub?
Yeah,
Well, you could get the other.
it's not gonna bring animals back there.
The,
European.
There's different varieties of arborvitae.
Can we put deer resistant arborvitae, because there are different.
There are,
resistant.
Well, that's like the baby.
Yeah, I mean,
The Emerald green, deer lovers, I have them in my yard.
yeah, yeah.
The other ones,
Is it the Fuja or?
It's deer resistant.
That's the genes, arborvitae.
Deer resistant.
Yeah, I mean, they've got this there now, that the deer couldn't browse above it, obviously, as part of the hotel's operation and maintenance, they're not gonna want they're gonna have landscaping throughout, so they're not gonna want deer hitting all of their plants, so. Yeah, I think it's got baked into the fact that, it wouldn't have an aesthetic issue for the neighbor, because the deer couldn't browse above the existing fence line. And the hotel, it's good, they're not gonna want all their vegetation browsed down.
And so the plantings are inside of your,
It,
Not
on the
their
project
fence.
side, and then their fence to the house, yeah,
so they can't access it.
exactly.
Well,
What, the deer? Oh, no, they can go.
Oh, the deer, yeah, the deer, I mean, it's open to the rest of the property down the hill and all that, so the deer
They
couldn't
can get
Come into
it.
that.
come in and meander around, but it's the neighbor's
So are
house,
there
and then
deer
they're kind
resistant arborvitae?
I'm sorry?
Are there deer resistant?
There are. Yeah, there are, I mean. They say rhododendrons are deer resistant too, and I've had hit my rhododendron, so it all depends on the season, I'll tell you.
Okay, so, well, we're gonna leave, the way it's drafted now would leave the species to be approved by Christian outside of the planning board meeting, so he can work with the applicant to identify something appropriate.
Unless anybody can want to specify something different.
But I do have a question.
Yeah.
I think that language has got to be cleaned up.
8,
Yep.
Okay.
Addition to the note on sheet C 104, reads as follows, all hotel lighting except for walking path shall be shut off by 10 PM tonight. Just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't, I was actually gonna wait till the end to take issue to that, Basically, you need safety lighting throughout the site at all times, because it is a hotel, people can be coming in late in the evening. So parking lights definitely will have to be on, as well as walking paths, I would request that be struck entirely, with dark sky compliant lighting everywhere.
that
We don't
means
have
it only shines on the
I
ground.
mean, but that's all
And so we need
unnecessary.
to tell, so yeah, we have guests come, that, could be out to dinner until 11 or 12 o'clock.
That's it, yeah, so, I mean, you can deem what's necessary depending on the season.
I mean, I thought this was discussed, actually.
And what-
I don't recall this discussion.
The type of lighting there.
I have it in my notes. That's, I mean, if the board's fine with it, then it's very good.
Well, we're not fine with lights.
The whole idea was that, we wanted to minimize the lighting, but I'm
Maybe
saying,
it's the parking lot lights that you wanted off by 10?
maybe, yeah, I would say, maybe just a general all unnecessary lighting in my.
Unnecessary, it's never gonna be
That's
enforced.
a squishy, that's a squishy.
No.
That's subjective.
What the lighting is gonna have is not gonna affect the neighbors.
Correct, we've been provided a nice improvement plan, we've got some of
And
the,
Chris, you check that out, right? So the lighting that they're gonna have is not gonna affect anything.
yeah.
So it'll be for their purpose and their guests.
Yeah, we can strike it, that
Yeah.
kind of cleans it up. 'Cause
Yeah, and
it's
you're
not-
right, it has to, you don't know what time your guests are gonna come in. Even though everything goes at 9 o'clock.
Okay, so leave condition 8. Would be good.
Sorry, excuse me. This is Gary from the client side. I just wanted to let everyone know that arborvitae was what the neighbor requested, and we agreed to it. If that's fine with everyone, we could put that. And on the planning schedule, it shows that 23 creates the hedge for the privacy. So I don't know if we could leave it as it is, but if it's helpful, that's what shows going from the end of the east side for the gate that we put in for him, beyond the corner end of his property. It was 23 of them.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Gary.
Yep.
Okay, well,
So
number
then
10.
10 is also something that they agreed to with the neighbor, and it's just kind of memorializing, so there's no future fights. It's addition of a note that said applicant has agreed to grant Walter Brett a limited license to allow him to continue to use a gate in the fence which abuts 601 Union Street. Access will be limited to 2 times annually. The contact for same should be with the project manager prior to the completion of construction and non-hotel manager subsequent to completion of construction. Said contact will require 3 days' notice to review the request for access and accommodate access based upon planned events. Mr. Brett's existing gate will be closed up and relocated to the corner of the property away from the guest walkway. The applicant may terminate this license agreement if 611 Union Street is sold or otherwise conveyed. So I'm including it on the plan, so it's clear to all the parties what the agreement is and it's memorialized, but it's not something that the planning board is requiring you to do.
Well,
So we volunteered
thank
it,
you.
and now it's gonna be put on the plan.
for coming in with the attitude of being neighborly and community focused.
Do we have to put him or is it
The
designated?
way that they worded this, it is particular to only him. If he sells, it goes away.
I know, but it wasn't the whole purpose that he needed tree manicuring or something, he needed like a professional coming in.
Oh, you're saying or his agent. Okay.
Yeah, exactly, it wasn't him that was gonna use it, it was someone employed by him.
Okay, that's a good point. Well, 11, provide the aquatic bench around the floor bay or provide documentation from any NYSBC stating that such aquatic bench is not needed for approval by the planning board at engineer. Is not needed, should say, to the approval of the planning board engineer. And I appreciate you explain what that means.
There's just an aquatic bench around ponds in the foreback, and there's a discussion and disagreement with the applicant whether it's required. And I said, all right, this is my interpretation of it. You could provide copies from DEC. You know, saying it's not required, and it will just never mind, but. Fair enough.
12, provide landscaping plan for stormwater pond as part of preparation of the full SWIP for review by planning board engineer. 13, revision of the wastewater engineering report and site plan set to clarify SB 35 force and SCH 80 pressure pipe to be consistent in both the report and site plan set to the approval of planning board engineer. So again, these are technical cleanup comments. Revision of wastewater engineering report to include discussion of fire flow both required and existing, comma, to the approval of the planning board engineer. 15, revision of the wastewater engineering report to include discussion of design average flow, design max flow, design peak hourly flow, and design peak instantaneous flow to the approval of the planning board engineer. Revision of wastewater engineering report to include revised pump station calculations to account for revised design flows to the approval of the planning board engineer. Revision of the wastewater engineering report to include a section of the sanitary sewer engineering report, which would provide an assessment of the effects of the increased flow of sanitary sewage or industrial waste on the strength of CSOs and their frequency of occurrence, including the impact of on-best usage of the receiving water to the approval of the planning board engineer.
Okay, the question I want to ask, how much is in the escrow? Because with him constantly back and forth with them, that's gonna cost them.
Well, we can always replenish it even after you approve
So
it.
how are we gonna replenish it?
You just can't sign the plans until you
Okay,
figure that
yeah.
all out.
So you've got leverage.
Okay,
And
I just wanna make sure.
what I request be added to number 17
Mhm.
is, again, there's this kind of back and forth about who's doing what as far as this CSO and the city's study versus having every individual applicant do their own CSO study. I'd like to add to the end of that, or be it resolved that the city of Hudson, something about the city of Hudson, finds a resolution with the DEC, because there's that bank of credits that are gonna be made available, so.
They're gonna be made available, but we're still applying.
I'm sorry,
You're still gonna apply every.
definitely, but we're not gonna be conducting our own CSO, not every applicant's gonna be conducting their own CSO study to see how it impacts the wastewater treatment system.
Did you talk to, Rob Perry?
No, but that's our intention, I mean, if there are credits available, that CSO study has been done and said, we have a bank of X number of credits that people can purchase. So therefore, we've already done the work, we've already offset the thing, we have this many gallons, it's a 4-to-1. You're buying credits for X number of dollars per gallon, here you go. That is their be it resolved, that the city, the DEC, everybody's resolved this CSO issue, and now the credits.
I don't know enough about what's happening. What I could suggest is that, you know, we can always amend this resolution if this ends up not being the appropriate path.
Well, I don't think you're giving away the farm by saying you either have to do this, or the city and the DEC come to some agreement that absolves the applicant of having to do the CSO, so it kind of fades it in.
For what,
We're
for
fine with
confirmation that the city is
We're
not
fine with
requiring, confirmation that the city is not requiring said report.
And I just say.
Carl, acceptable to the planning board.
So when we said, now if we didn't have this, they were coming back to us. Thank God for this.
So I've made those amendments. If everyone's happy, we can make a motion to approve as amended.
Can I get a motion to approve this resolution as amended?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. We'll get it, we'll send it to you as soon as we. Get it. Right now.
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
All right.
It's been a long road and it's been a good one.
Thank you very much.
Can I give you, I know one of the things that you needed for the whole time.
Oh, yeah, leave it here so they can review it for now, because, you know, only until there was some conditions.
Yes,
That, they have to review first,
right, and I think it should be,
already done. Okay,
I would say
this is 6 weeks of live,
survey maps. I'm just reading that, you know, all the survey maps.
but there were conditions that had to be,
No, don't, we're not ready to be signed. No, but I'm just reading this pattern map, so that I don't have to come back next month because I'm sick.
okay,
You can take them if you want to hold on.
I'll hold on.
That'd be great. I just have a minute to.
Yeah, I'll hold on.
I'm going to take a 1 minute break.
Okay, we'll take 5 minutes, public. And then we can go to. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Isn't that? Well, I know they can tell us that. This is where. Yeah, the one we questioned, all right, they were simply in and said there were 24 this, we could get, what I said it. And I told him, yeah, so. And he was going to the phone. Crystal. You know, continuing for the. Yeah, right. Please, okay, because really, you get the steps, I don't know why, because, well, they've said them right to you, that it's no problem. But we need, you know, we really need to say.
I know he's good for it.
I know it's good for it, but we don't. Yes, thank you. And would you like, oh, yeah. Yeah, well, wait a minute.
So they didn't, when I had that, so now the deal, so you didn't make.
Oh, you mean to tell me even what I wasn't here when.
Declared.
Yeah.
All right, we're live.
Okay, can I get, is Mill Street here? Hi. How are you?
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Sean Kearney from Kearney Realty Development Group. Better hold on for me.
Thank you for your patience and waiting.
One, two. Yeah, yeah.
Sean Kearney from Kearney Realty Development Group, here with Andy Learn from CTL, the project civil engineer. Since the last meeting, we introduced the project, we received a lot of good comments and feedback. I think the plans have advanced well, and Andy's been able to address a lot of the comments that came up at the last meeting. Want to run through some of the changes?
Yeah, yes, I have it. Submitted the checklist. A little late, but I got it to Chris today. Yeah, we didn't submit a formal, make a formal submission and response, which I want to show you our progress.
So then,
So, you know, last time, some of the things we talked about with parking, we were able to reduce the size of the parking spaces to 9 by 18. That's bumped us up 6 spaces, we're up to 56 spaces now.
but you're 70 apartments, right?
70 parks.
Okay, so, I can't remember that. Because I went by there today. That area, where everybody else went there.
I mean, I'd be happy to provide the board with some data on some of our other comparable developments and the parking counts.
The sidewalks over there. And on the other side, it's just all residential, I mean, all single family.
We do have a traffic and parking study being conducted, as recommended by this board. We should have that by early next week. But what we see consistently is for mixed income housing development, our parking demands are less than half. It's somewhere around 45%. Typical demands.
No, I agree.
And as far as sidewalks are concerned, that, you know, I understand this is the Mill Street is actually kind of designated as a trail already. So we're proposing actually a connection, a walking connection from the project to the street so that they can more easily take advantage of that trail. So we're hoping that helps with people being able to walk and move about.
I didn't see the trail. They didn't want it all
The
there.
trail, the Mill Street is right.
You have to be on a bike to see it?
No, it's paved.
That's asphalt. That's what I'm saying, I didn't see it.
Up towards, the school. It's at the shop. Harry on that.
Oh, okay.
Right, so anyway, so we also added the playground back. We had talked last time about some mitigating measures down here at the bottom of the site, well, the north end of the site to slow down the water, try to get back into the existing drainage system because we are opening, you know, the culvert along the edge of Mill Street to improve.
Where is the water? What does your study show where the water is coming off the hill?
Well, we're showing the water is coming from the reservoirs up south of the site. Most of it is coming from there.
So where does it come down in back of your site?
From the hillside? So
Yeah.
I think, are you referring, so there's an existing culvert. There's an existing culvert right about here. That currently floods during large storm events, and when that happens, the water flows around towards Mill Street and then around the embankment and then through the site. That's how it's flowing right now.
Okay.
So what we're doing, we're proposing to formalize that drainage channel, that path, so that the water can go where it wants to go, by opening up. There's a berm here, embankment, we could open that up, and all the water to flow over land through this channel, along Mill Street, under our driveway to the box culvert, that would then reach this ponding area. And we're proposing a new connection to the storm drainage system here, which is in addition to the one down here. So it's now gonna have two locations where it can get back into the existing drainage system.
So can you just point to the whole back of the whole back of the property? You're saying that that's the back of the property?
This is the north end of the site where most of the water comes from, where
No, but I'm
the
saying,
drainage channel comes
you're
from.
saying Mill Street's here, the hillside is on the other side,
Here, yes.
right? So a lot of the water is coming down that whole hill.
Yes, so we have drainage swales along the back side of these
Okay.
buildings.
So
It's
it's
gonna
not
pick
just
that up, so,
north end.
right, so it doesn't get into the buildings, it's gonna direct it around back towards this pond here.
Okay, the pond area, whose property is that?
It's on
It's on your property.
project, not the city's property, but part of this
And
development.
then there's a house at the bottom of the hill
Yes,
that gets flooded as well. So any of this water gonna affect the neighbor?
well, the point of this is, right now, when it floods, it goes there now, right? The point of this is to intercept it as much as it can before it gets to the neighbor's property, get it into the drainage channel, before it gets that opening that's there on there, near the downstream
Okay, it
property.
goes to that catch area, the pond area, that overflows, or is that water gonna go there?
It's gonna follow the same path that it does now. But right now, by doing this, it opens up an opening in this existing drainage system to get it into the system before it gets to the neighbor's property.
Did you send us this updated?
Yeah,
So, what?
Not officially.
not, yeah, it was just a kind of informal.
You have it?
I don't know if I have this version, but we do have a version of it, I can send it.
Yeah, cause I could put it up there, so the public can see it.
Yeah, so the public can see it. Yeah, so
Any
go
other
ahead,
questions
did we,
about
no, did we interrupt you with questions?
But no, I mean, I'm happy to answer questions as you have them.
I have another one,
Go ahead.
since you gave us approval.
Go ahead.
The sidewalk,
Yes.
can you, we just said about the sidewalk.
Right, so right now, the Mill Street is designated as a Empire State Trail.
Yeah.
So what we're proposing is we have existing sidewalks, we're proposing sidewalks across the front of both buildings. And previously it stopped here. What we're proposing is a connection across the channel to get directly to the Mill Street. So it's easier for people to get to the street, and utilize a trail rather than having to walk through the parking lot across it.
The way down the new sidewalks down there whatsoever, and originally that was a bike path. And the street was part of the bike path. And they came in with the Empire Trail system, and it's still a local road. Accessible to cars and pedestrians, so a sidewalk would be beneficial. At your expense.
Yeah, it's a bit challenging to squeeze all that in, within the existing right of way.
Then the migrate is a playground, softball field, and it's lower than the road. Are you gonna change the elevation of that?
In the site, yes, we're raising the site, roughly seven feet.
Okay.
Yeah, that's well, right. And that would include raising the parking lot too.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
So you block all my sunlight in the.
We're not, hello, we're not yet. But I will get to your comments. Thank you.
That's pretty much it there. The only other kind of major kind of improvement that we're talking about now is that we understand that the existing water line in Mill Street is only a 4-inch pipe, which is not sufficient to serve a fire hydrant, so we're proposing to replace that line from Second Street up to the end with 8-inch pipe.
How long do you think this project is going to take to complete? From the day you get approval from us or disapproval? Okay, if you get approval.
Typically about 18.
So it's
Years?
18 months until, from a shovel on the ground, when we'll be moving people in. But the approval from this board is very important, but it's one step in this process. We're pursuing financing from New York State.
Yes.
We can't start construction without it. So we'll get this approval, we'll apply for the state within the next couple of months when the next funding round opens up.
Okay, so they essentially were updated plans.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, we'll make a full formal submission for the meeting next month.
But as long as you just keep all your updates going to him, you know, proceed, will then recommend to next time. That's how you're gonna move it along.
I won't review anything until you actually.
And that's fine, we didn't really expect.
Board members, any more questions?
Yeah.
Okay, public now, the gentleman in the blue was before you.
I'm just submitting a check.
Oh, he came back, thank you. Thank you. No? Oh. It was so. How much is it? Wait, let's pull up the resolution. 1 minute.
The last meeting,
Just 1 minute, so you can get it right.
May 15. The planning resolution. In the family power here. $15,000.
Thank you. Okay, the gentleman in blue, when you stand up, say your name.
My name is Josh Kick and I'm a resident on Mill Street. There are many, many concerns over this project. My understanding, this isn't really the right time for me to be bringing this up.
No, but I allow it.
Is-
So,
Okay,
you know, it's better that you get it out before they, you know, start doing things, better that we all know.
the traffic on the street, someone has a birthday party, and it's hard to maneuver.
You live in a
Right.
residential house on the other side.
Yeah, with a birthday party, it's hard to maneuver the street. Now the park is getting bigger. And you're gonna have a 60 unit, so could be 120 cars. Extra
Can
on
I ask you a
this.
question? Are those all one-family houses?
They are,
Cause I saw something here, built there today, that was huge.
it's one, well, an in-law suite possibly, I guess.
Where did that come from? It was a big house.
Yeah, but it's a house and not a structure. The side of this thing, I imagine is gonna block half of our sun today, right?
No. That's me the question.
Yes, that's another concern, you know, how. We already have the hill in the back set there where we lose our sunlight quite early in the day. I would imagine side of this is, gonna be another obstruction for. Lighting the area, natural. That's all I have for today.
You stay.
Another person wants to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, if we're allowed to speak, my name is Jack, I also will be living on Mill Street, I'm constructing the house that.
Oh, you're constructing the tall black house?
Yeah, I'll have more formal.
What's your name?
Jack.
Last name?
Hornicle, HORNICKEL. I'll have more comments and details and. stuff later. But yeah, I think the use of Mill Street as a street, a place where residents park, a place where events, people attending events at the park with cars, but also as a dedicated trail, creates a lot of interesting conditions, I think it's set the unit, apartment construction. I'm also concerned about the stormwater, but they're doing this.
But your property is
The big, it's a new house.
it's the new house, it's the container house.
It's bigger than all the houses over there.
It's new construction, it's currently green.
No, that's on the top of the.
That's exactly what I asked. That's not your place, you're on the same plane,
Yeah, we're on Mill Street.
that's fine.
Any questions, any more questions? Okay. So continue to submit the. Page of that story, so, any questions for you?
So at the last meeting, I wasn't here, but it was classified as type 1, was it actually circulated, were set submitted to the circulation?
Well, we asked for it to be circulated, but we didn't.
So,
Is there something more we needed to do?
it's Linda on? I don't know, we will follow,
It's Linda
because
on.
sometimes we will circulate the sets in.
We can ask Linda, wait a minute, is our is the planning board secretary,
She was, yes, she is,
ask her.
No,
Said no.
Okay, so let's make
because
sure.
they asked not to,
Who?
the applicants.
That's us.
Linda, we're talking about Mill Street, is that what you're referring to?
Linda, I'm gonna have them submit the copies in envelopes so we can start that process, if that's helpful.
Oh, wait. I circulated something, lead agency, last month.
For Mill Street, right?
Yes,
Okay, you did.
Okay, so it was that,
Okay,
and that's what you're talking about.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's, so I haven't seen any responses, so let's wait to see what we can see.
But they keep rolling, yeah. That's for us to do, right?
Mhm.
Are we short of the 30 days that we want to go clearly do this?
I don't know the date.
Well, Linda, do you know what day it went out? Could you give us a date, please?
She was muted, after unmute.
I'm looking.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That's the plan, that's secretary. Okay. Yeah.
22nd, May 22.
Okay.
Thank you. So we still have some time.
Okay, so what else? Second. And what is to be in by 30 days?
They have 30 days to respond to the circulation.
You all got a copy of it, right?
So we'll make sure that it's all set.
How does she circulate it without them having a copy?
I mean, well, they don't get a copy of the circulation because they're the applicant. They know what the plan is, but
Okay, so next steps. It would be premature for any declaration of lead agency at this meeting.
yeah,
It's
can't do
been
that.
30 days. Is it too premature to set a public hearing date? Yes.
Yeah, usually it'd be good to get through at least one full set of engineering review comments. That way anything is drafted and ironed out prior to going to the point.
Okay.
We'll send it. Okay.
Sounds fair.
Okay.
For the next item on the agenda, so we'll move on to, if that's.
Okay,
Oh, same guys. Now, I've been sending things to Kyle and Andy. Is that the right people?
That is Andy.
Okay. Just you, not in, not,
Kyle
not Kyle.
works for me, so he submitted some stuff.
Do me a favor, you ship that over, so I'll take it, I can take it, no, the whole board, just a little bit, just the whole. Exactly, perfect.
Okay.
You guys
So
will see it.
we're on now to new business, State Street laws. This is brand new, yeah.
Yeah, it's just easier to. Take an image of it and put it up.
Sure. So this development consists of 24 units, residential units, and one commercial, retail space. Of the 24 units, 18 are 1 bedrooms, and 6 are 2 bedrooms. So we did the best we could to kind of get mixed income development. It's a challenging site, it's a tight site, but I think if you can tell from the site plan and the architectural plans, the building is kind of modeled after some of the other buildings that are along 4th Street. The setbacks, the
historical look with the full brick, the arched windows. We included an outdoor hardscaped area for our tenants and the retail space. It's gonna create a nice little plaza. And then right above the retail, we'll have a small rooftop terrace for our residents as well. So it's a small building, small lot, but we included 10 parking spaces on our site, all along alley as well.
And it's also going to be low and
Mixed income. So serving households at 30% of Columbia County, 60 up to 100%.
And you said, 18 one bedrooms or 18 two bedrooms
18 one bedrooms.
and 6 two bedrooms?
2 bedrooms.
So just kind of to bring everyone kind of up to speed in location, this is the existing gravel parking lot at the corner of State Street, North Fourth Street.
The parking is gonna be under the building? In a sense?
No, it'll be along the rear alleyway. So this is State Street, this is Fourth Street, this is parking is along alley.
So the building is gonna come in a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, so the building is gonna take up most of the lot. It's only a 4/10 of an acre lot. And 3 stories. We do have, we're proposing that, on site, refuse enclosure, bike storage, bike racks.
And green space is gonna be on the top of the building.
We have some, so it's a, you don't have it in the back. So there's a rendering, we'll submit that in the
That's
next,
not a flat ceiling. That's not a flat top.
right.
This is not, this is.
Oh, that's the green space.
It looks a lot better with, in the rendering, and we'll get the rendering to the board to review. But it's a pitched roof, 3-story, all full brick. And here, the first floor, retail space bumps out. And that part above the retail would be the rooftop terrace.
I want to get a shot of that.
How many retail space, how many retail spaces is it today?
Just
One.
2,600 square feet.
Questions from the board?
Business also similarly, like I said, it's either 120% in 5.
Yeah.
So we'll be serving households at 30, 60, 200.
Yeah.
Having, you wouldn't be close to an apartment city, that right? For this, with having 10 spots and 24 units.
We wouldn't envision needing one for 10 parking spaces for 24, but if the board wants us to look into that or have that study conducted. Kind of,
State Street has changed. I live on that or in that block, so I think it's changed a lot even in the last year and a half. I've lived here in terms of the parking density, so it's just something to consider.
That's because a lot of the buildings that were not being occupied and, just left uncared for are all doing well now.
What's also funny is that, and if you don't want to get meter on Warren Street, all you have to do is park on State Street. So I will say it's a lot of 9-to-5 traffic, but it's changed. So I would be maybe curious about that. Would you be doing this with the same grant since it's also mixed in?
yeah, our goal is to financing wise package Mill Street and State Street as a scattered site development and put the application for financing at the same time.
So, so timing is the same.
What's the budget for this project?
That's a great question. I don't have that off the top of my head. Yeah, we've modeled this 10 different ways. So off the latest design, I don't have that number off the top of my head, but happy to.
Just ballpark, I mean, eventually just ballpark it, just out of curiosity.
Sure.
Yeah, the variation on the sides are tend to be.
So similar to the previous application we have, because we're applying to the New State Housing Authority for funding, we'll need to circulate, we'll need this to be a coordinated review with the other one. So if possible, we could ask
circulate with the agency.
I'm sensitive.
I'm sorry, what was it on the first floor, because I was doing some tech stuff, what is the largest space on the ground floor? Is that retail?
Yeah, that'll be commercial space.
How many spots are handicapped? Of the 10?
There's four.
And it's the same idea that, you know, with the different incomes, everybody wants to need a parking space, so you'll get a parking space.
So there's 10 parking spaces, 4 of those are handicapped.
Yes,
It's not 10 plus 4.
no, it's 10 dollars.
And on the retail space, that's just one giant space,
Yeah, 2,600.
or is that gonna be subdivided into smaller, like, well, what is
Yeah,
that?
that would be one space. When we originally came up with this development plan, our goal was either, when we presented to the city, either a communal kitchen, a grocery store, or an affordable daycare. We think the affordable daycare is probably likeliest path. But we're still ironing things out.
How many square feet is that?
2,600.
They're all.
There's also where to get food.
That's true, but then you may not have the right type of grocery store, so what will daycare, you can't miss that.
Yeah.
Oh, great, any more questions?
Are you gonna, when you're contracting, sourcing your contractors, are you gonna, is there a provision for your contracting, local contractors? When applicable?
Sure, so we don't typically do provisions, we do our own construction.
Okay.
We tend to source locally, we're from the Hudson Valley.
Okay.
Most of our subs are from the Hudson Valley. We try to use local suppliers as often as possible, that's usually a lot simpler than gearing up for a larger, quicker construction schedule. But we use local contractors to the best of our ability. It's a lot easier to use local supply assets.
And do you also look to meet the state regulations for us, women and minority women-owned businesses and contractors?
Yes. Yeah, beyond that, we have an internship program that we've committed to, and can't remember off the top of my head if it's 1 or 2, I think it's 2. So as part of any of our developments, we run an internship program out of our office. So we'll have 1 or 2 youth from the local community. We'll put them on the construction site, not sweeping, but learning how to run a construction job from a GC's point of view. We bring them down to our main office, teach them development, financing, whether it's a single family home to multifamily home. And then we teach them some of the management side. So that at the end of the internship, they have at least a good foundation in all 3 aspects of it.
And another question, so you have 2 projects, then are these gonna be built at the same time, or you're gonna build Mill Street first, then go to stage, or you're gonna have 2 different crews build?
So if they're financed at the same time, and that's the plan, they would be built.
Building at the same time, and then, so I just want you to think about where you're gonna park the vehicles and how you're gonna get in and out. And how is that going to be impact the area while you're building? So just think about it.
Sure.
Can you just address, and we did any book, why the 2 projects should be considered together under secret? It's really functioning in one project.
So it's only really one project for financing, but it's not separate.
The same ownership.
In ownership, but the only thing linking them is financing.
So one is not dependent on the other.
Well, no, I mean, Mill Street lofts went in for financing already last year, wasn't successful, so we see it as a good opportunity to combine the 2 as one, just for the financing competitiveness.
And you're seeking pilot programs for them individually or together?
Right now, the agreement with the city is combined.
Mhm.
We would have to split it.
So we have to give you a checklist for Mill Street, because you didn't get.
There you go. I have,
Checklist?
I have it.
Okay. I mean, for State Street. Send it up to.
Before we move on from this, you are in the R4 zone, you're gonna need 2 variances.
Yes,
For, You're gonna need a lot coverage variance. Front, side, yard setbacks. Density is gonna be a big one. We just had that discussion with the last applicant about density. So in that core zone, you're allowed 1 unit for 1,500 square feet. So for the zoning out here, it's about half acre. You'd be allowed roughly 10, I think. So that's something that you get a variance for. Green space. There is a thing that per unit, you need 300 square foot of green space. You might be able to achieve that with a green roof or something like that. You know, potentially get around that. And then the parking space dimension reduction. So there are quite a few variances.
So that means they have to apply to the zoning board, right?
They do, but it's a chicken and egg situation because we. It's type 1.
Yes.
If we're doing a coordinated review, which is requested, they need to wait until the seeker review is done, until they can obtain the variances.
Can they work with us separately, but just?
I mean, they can go present to the zoning board and get initial feedback.
Yeah. We've made.
Just a move in.
Not for this one yet, I was waiting to have this conversation. Our intention would be to submit to the ZBA before then, but they can't take an action until if we miss or include their secret.
In an ideal world, would you be able to complete both of these projects since you get approval in like 30 months?
Optimistically, we would be in the ground late spring of next year, early summer, and then 18 months from there, so yeah, within 30 months.
30 months.
Within, don't quote it, it all depends on the financing. 18 months from a shovel on the ground, 30 months from now, everything.
So we have to declare this and then we must.
So if the board is ready to circulate it, we can do that.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're doing a project that's definitely needed in the city. I really help you. Certainly been designated as lead, there's now also lead agency, and then, the secretary, okay? So we could go. All right, so is that can I get a motion?
Motion to classify as type 1 action and declare intent to conduct a coordinated review. And direct the secretary to circulate notice of its intent to all involved and the agencies.
Motion to classify.
Yes.
Okay, Randall and, Jean. And Randall. Okay, a motion to establish Expo. What you're doing. I know. What do we want to do? Well, you get a motion to do classify. Yeah. All in favor? Any opposed? Talks today.
We should have those envelopes unless Linda doesn't want her copy. Linda,
Yes.
you want hard copies for circulation? How are you sending everything out?
Most agencies want them via email now.
Okay, so do you need any additional copies?
I'll need a hard copy for SHPO if necessary.
Okay, I think the applicant's gonna have to upload their own edition of it.
Which we have already.
Okay.
So I have. It's okay.
We may need a hard copy because we do need to include University Housing Community Development in that circulation. That address is on our cover letter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's helpful, we can deliver her hard copies in an envelope addressed to the right agency. And then not close those. She should the
So how
cover.
would they deliver to it? They bring it to the clerk here and let them hold it for Linda? Because, you know,
No
like,
planning board office.
right, exactly. So, I think if you bring it to, the head clerk, which is Tracy, she'll hold it for Linda to pick up. Okay, but CC us on when you drop it off.
Absolutely. Do you want the full package that we submitted to the board to circulate, or just the plans and the EAF? What would you like to?
I think that. And then I can put the cover letter in, but yeah.
Then we should let Tracy know. Linda, did you hear, is that okay, if it's healthier for you?
Yes,
Okay, cause she'll pick it up, so this is given to Tracy.
Okay.
Notify us that you delivered it, so we can make sure it gets picked up.
Come on.
All right, thank you. And now, can we do the motion to establish escrow?
escrow.
How much? How much? We don't know yet, we're just making a motion to establish, how much?
5,000.
I'm shipping.
That's what I said.
It's a project, yeah,
You want to check?
Yeah, project.
so
It
stand
was,
with
it was
project.
similar to Mill Street.
Yeah. We did 25 from Mill Street. This way we don't come back for a while. And they're gonna be doing a lot of things. What, okay, Gene, what did you say?
10,000.
Sure.
Is that already due?
I can never argue.
Let's be honest, you got-
That is all right with me.
It's the consultant, so yeah, most of it.
Wait a minute, no, it has to, okay. Kristen does a task force, and that's usually 10 or above.
Yeah.
Okay, then we have Victoria. And that's usually 10 or above, so.
I appreciate it.
Why don't we do 15?
No, why don't we do 25? I would say these are big projects, they need a lot of, consulting and legal.
Hopefully they get most of it back.
Right,
Yeah.
we give it back, it's not something we keep.
This is true, so.
It is, but sorry, these are buildings, we're gonna have the money. We hope.
Is that right? On my way, should be very excited.
You don't have it for your wife, you have it for the building you're gonna build. Okay, who was it? Randall and then Jean, right? First, the motion to establish escrow,
Yes.
okay, at 25. Yep. All in favor? Okay, any opposed? Okay. All right, that's about it. You're done, right?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Remember, get your stuff in and we can help you. as
Well,
much
so
as
the
we
next
can.
step is for Christian to conduct a review of that comments.
Right, okay?
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, we have other business now, we're gonna have Hudson Housing Authority. With the president.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming, thank you for including.
We're coming down here.
Thank you, we really appreciate this. Not many people include us in the, before they, put in application, so thank you. Now, this is Hudson Housing presentation only.
Yeah. Do you have an easement?
What is it, this we do?
Sean and I can give you a few minutes.
It's not one back.
No, we're okay. Sean and I will give you a few minutes for y'all.
Well, I need it over here a little bit, so I can take a shot, and he's put it on the screen.
Wait a minute, I sent, and I sent it to you,
It's easier to do this.
but I sent it to your email, can you check it out?
Sorry, I could do one better. I actually have few copies.
Random,
On USB?
yeah, I sent it to your email. Oh, you can't do it.
It's just a different process, it's easier.
He's the tech person. He said,
That's actually what.
and you did send it to me.
I'll actually share all the copies I have. I'm sorry to put that many.
I have it. Thank you. You have it, yeah. Internet is very slow. Okay. Go right ahead.
Are you ready? Thank you. Thank you for having us and good evening to everybody. I'm Jeffrey Dodson. I'm the Executive Director for the Hudson Housing Authority. We're here because we're in the planning stages of the redevelopment of the authority, and we'd like to present to you tonight our project to replace 135 units, which are made up of Bliss Towers and Columbia Apartments on State Columbia and Second Street. We have partnered with Monco Construction, they are co-developers. This time I'm sorry, Eugene Zambuto and John Matteo, and at this time I'll allow them to present to you.
Thank you very much. We know you've had a long evening. We'll try to make this short, but we certainly will answer any questions or try to answer any questions you have. For the record, my name is John Matteo. I'm the Executive Vice President with Mapco Construction and Development Corp. Just as an overview, I suspect that you have seen or heard about this project. Some of what you may have seen and heard probably is not accurate. So that's why we wanted to come before you to give you a firsthand description of where we are. The Housing Authority and Mapco have been working for the last year or so to look at the existing buildings owned by the Housing Authority and the land owned by the Housing Authority and to see whether or not they could be reclaimed. We don't feel that that's appropriate given the conditions of the building. So we've done a lot of rehab of older buildings like that, but these buildings are not suitable for that in our judgment and the judgment of the engineers. So the plan is to build new, to provide then for the residents that are currently at Bliss and Columbia Apartments. There is also, as I'm sure you know, a large demand for additional affordable housing in the community. That's been expressed to us by representatives of the city, by residents of the city. The state is aware of it, so we'd like to take the opportunity to not only replace what's there, but also to add some additional affordable housing. Again, what I really want to emphasize, and things, and Udo is going to talk about the specifics, but this is a very early conceptual idea. Okay, when we and we're not here making a formal presentation for the site plan. Just wanted to give you an idea. When we come back to you, okay, what you may see may be different than what we're proposing today, because we've had a lot of input. We've had discussions about the plan you're going to see tonight. We've had discussions with the city council, with the administration, with the state and some financing sources, with the residents, and we've opened the meetings to the members of the community who can come and comment on the plans as well. So again, this is a work in progress. So I'm going to stop now and maybe you can go from there.
Sure. Thank you. So I think the first walkthrough was probably like this first initial slide in your hard packet.
You the engineer?
Oh, sorry, no, I'm Eugene Zambuto. I'm with the Mapco team.
Okay.
So I'm a part of the development team and I'll be the project lead on this project. The first, that's perfect, yeah. So we're looking at redeveloping all of HHA's 4.3 acres as well as some city-owned land very comprehensively. It's important. This is our one chance to really do it and do it right, right? So in this footprint right now, you actually have the existing 9-story tower and scattered 15 townhomes. All of that actually is getting replaced. So the last page of your packet has where the buildings are currently, but this is what's going to be like the final outcome. There are
This
two.
is the final outcome, or is this the existing?
This is the final outcome. So this is like an overview of the master plan.
But it's a preliminary plan, it's not like.
Yes, I'm sorry, that was a great call. When I say final, I don't mean final, I mean, this is our current proposal for y'all to consider. We're looking at 3 separate buildings on the large area as well as 4 different townhouse sites. But what we really would like to discuss is just the overview of the larger area too. I think that the small townhouse sites are gonna be 3 stories, maybe 3 or 4, clusters each. I'm not sure how much discussion those warrant. On this larger 4.3 Hudson Housing Authority site, we're gonna have 3 buildings as proposed. The first building is gonna be about 140 units, and then these other 2 buildings together are gonna be about 160 units. The heights are gonna be staggered between 4 stories and 7 stories. They average together about 5.5 stories. So right now, it's a 9-story tower. We're looking to bring that average down pretty substantially. Yeah, and across the street for contextual reference, there's the Providence Hall, Schuyler Courts. That is actually an existing 5-story apartment building.
Problem solved.
Sorry, problem
Okay,
solved.
I'm like,
Thank you.
right, but
Thank you, sorry about
yeah, but this, Providence has nothing to do with this.
No, but we're saying in comparison.
Oh, yes, okay.
that. Apologies, that's me complicated.
So you're going from 135 apartments down to 300?
So that's, the proposal is, it gives us a great opportunity to, one, replace the existing obsolete housing to really make that new buildings that are efficient, well laid out, ADA accessible, 2024 build standards and 2024 sustainability standards really should be like an excellent replacement in quotes. And then we also have this rare opportunity to actually build new affordable housing. So the new affordable housing is not going to be concentrated like low income. It's going to be serving the full spectrum of affordable housing. So from what we have now is 30% to then adding on 50 to 80% housing. So it should be really like a good working class mix that we're able to bring into this area, which is much needed, as you heard from the Carney's previous as well.
Instead of all woven.
Absolutely. So the
other
other,
name for that, I think it's called small films.
For workforce housing, sometimes people.
Thinking of something from the old times, but I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. So the other opportunity is this really gives us a chance to bring in some green space. I mean, I know all of you know what this 9-story tower looks like visually right now. It's 9 stories with asphalt all around. It really has no real aesthetic enduring qualities besides offering invaluable housing right now. It really doesn't have any like real community benefits. What we're looking to do is to create green space. So if you can kind of visualize this, we're hiding the parking underground. That's our hope right now. It's very expensive. We've all got to work together to secure the financing, the we's here, but we're going to try really hard. If we can hide the parking, that would be extremely valuable. Now, there's still a lot of surface parking, but at least if we can afford to do 1 layer of subsurface, that would be incredible. It'll bring, I think it's, I want to say 90 parking spaces below ground. So that will allow us to open up this whole courtyard. Picture like a beautiful private university quad, beautiful courtyard with a really nice playground that the whole community can benefit from. They have an existing basketball court, which has been really valuable for like the youth of the area. So we're gonna keep that and then also just have a lot of green spaces, beautiful landscaping. One of the other proposals that we are hoping to be able to achieve is this pedestrianization of a portion of State Street. So State Street right now cuts across HHA's 4.3 acres. And it's not necessarily a safe cut through, right? You can't cut across the street seamlessly between its 4 acres. So if we close off that street, what it allows us to do is one, unify the whole complex. So you'll have this really nice safety lines of like, people living here. You can all see the playgrounds from your sight lines. Be this nice like natural safety measure of having that open space. And then also it will allow people to cross over from like side to side. And then we'll really build community there.
So you're gonna have buildings on the other side, which now we have a parking lot, a basketball court, and a
gazebo.
Yeah, gazebo.
And a maintenance shed.
Yeah, so now it closing that street off with,
Right, because that's underutilized space that we own.
it is.
And it will boost for what is this area, like for especially for the low income housing units, what it will, that like move alone will do is it'll boost like healthy recreation. right? So instead of having
Right.
through your own yard, like a traffic.
And that street really,
Uh,
I don't even think it's used that much because Columbia is used way more than that. Because it only goes to the back of, Front Street. Correct.
And
It's gonna be open to the public.
So it'll be open for emergency vehicles. We'll discuss with our engineers, like the bollards that come up and down that can.
But I mean, like the public can traverse it.
Oh, yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes.
absolutely. And that's the whole hope too, right? So maybe this will be like the best playground in all of Hudson and everyone can come and really enjoy it. Like that's kind of the hope to like bring up the community.
Place for a street fair.
No, that'd be lovely. That would be. So we are looking to as kind of like a solution for like the closing of this part of State Street to create this little extra street here that would connect State and Columbia.
Extend First Street.
Definitely create, it will create or invite community feelings, you know, this, community.
How will unit sizes compare in new builds to the current units?
So it's pretty drastic. I know your units, like each unit is a different size, like even within the one bedroom. But we're using the state standards. So the state has like very, I will say generous. I know that that's like a relative term, but the state has very generous design guideline standards for the sizes of units, and we can provide those to you. So at a minimum, they will achieve all like the minimum design standards. So it's like 750 for a one bedroom, for example, like they're real sizes. And they also have really strict requirements on like where the closets are and how many closets and how much closet space.
And
Because that's
those restrictions were not there when the tower was built.
No.
Okay.
Well, it's over 50 years old, so the
Yeah.
standards were completely different.
Okay.
Right, so,
Just FYI, some of those proposed are in the keys on the documents that we handed out to.
Okay, that's great. Did you have you do have the number of bedrooms? Okay, one bedrooms, 745, two bedrooms,
That's
900.
the square footage.
Yeah.
Oh, that's square footage. Oh,
So, general, if I'm thinking back to changing codes and going for urban planning.
four bedrooms.
She always talked about putting in things so that you weren't looking inward, you were looking outward for the community. So how, I mean, from a planning perspective, it's just, with everything facing in, how do you make sure that it doesn't become, the same issues that they had in New York City during those times where, the park was not used and underused and unsafe.
Yeah, and I think when we come back before you bring our architects, the architects, we were very careful in who we selected. We selected award-winning architects that have received numerous design awards nationally and certainly in the state. And they can talk to you about how they're creating that space. I know when you look at this like this, you see 4 blocks of buildings and then green in the middle. But they'll talk to you about what they're trying to do and how they're gonna get access to that. They can talk about that better than we can.
I just want to add, though, it's as opposed to those type of buildings, I actually grew up in one like that. It's not closed up. It's not closed off, it's open, and that's the idea.
You just get the area shown.
Right. So it's supposed to be, and you want to create this sense of community. So
And that goes back to the whole pedestrianization of the.
now, would you, to get back to the apartment side, would you say that the new apartments are gonna be larger, more generously sized than what the existing ones?
Yes,
Definitely.
yeah.
The guidelines have changed thanks to this. Okay, do you have the number? How many, 1, 2, you're gonna go up to 5 bedrooms, you see.
So we don't have the numbers set yet. It's really gonna be a dialogue with the city and obviously the community's needs.
It's
Whether
on here.
want
This
more kids.
77 means 77.
Yeah, so that's what we have right now. So what it is proposed at was a discussion with HHA's current proportions. So we've matched kind of like loosely their proportions, but we definitely want to have that dialogue with you, with the city, with the community to see if, for example, if they need more school age children, maybe it's a switch out between 1 bedrooms and 2, or like, we see family sizes like not being, like the 5 bedrooms I know are a little underutilized. So that probably is a good discussion. That 5 bedroom proposal could be 2 1 bedrooms, right? So some, we'll find the best use of it and the best mix as we move forward.
But you're right, that sheet will give you an idea of how this lays out. But again, that may not be what we come back to you with.
But it gives an idea, you
It gives you an idea.
5 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms.
Yes.
Is this a phased project over time?
Yeah.
So, what's your plan schedule, like what would go first and how would that go?
That is a great question. So because we're building on the footprint of existing buildings, the the biggest priority we have is ensuring the residents, the existing residents, are negatively impacted from this process. So we would have to do it in at least 2 phases. One, allowing them to move into the new residence, and then 2 is taking down Bliss and Columbia when they're vacant and rebuilding the remainder. So right now, as it's proposed, and sorry to refer you to the last page, I'm actually not sure if I have that one printed out, but it's the very last page with the juxtaposition on it. Yeah, exactly, so this page. So if you'll see, site B, this long one up top, that actually corresponded to this, no, it's okay, this building right here. So that's what we're calling site B. Site B is what was on, Sherry, you mentioned, the vacant land right now with the basketball court. So there are actually no residents that would be impacted by a build there. So that would be, in all scenarios, our first build. What also is here, which is a possibility, is this little strip of land, which would be a second out of the 3rd building. That also sits very
It's a parking lot, right?
Yeah, exactly. It does impact some of these townhomes because the construction will be right there, so it's not our preference, but it is here and a possibility.
And you're gonna keep the townhomes and the building until you get enough.
Exactly,
Okay.
yeah. And so we'll have to discuss that more in depth with HHA as well as the community to see if that's even a viable option, even though there's no need to demolish those townhomes, but that kind of disruption is real, continuous disruption over 18 months. So we'll discuss that.
Are you still renting at HA? Are you still taking applications?
We are taking applications and we are renting once units become vacant for whatever reason. Separation, things of that nature. So, but we're not necessarily repairing other units. We do have a large vacancy.
Okay, so if a unit is in the discretion, not gonna repair it.
That's good.
Right, that makes sense.
That's good.
People.
Can I ask a few quick questions? Sorry. The first one is, what's the process, which is probably a better question for you, is if you go above that 80%, because your job improves or you come into a certain amount of money, what's your timeline in terms of having to leave the property if you do?
We'd have to look at that via policy. So that is something that we'll discuss. It'll be in our tenant selection plan.
Gotcha.
So I can maybe also answer that as separate from HHA. So the new project will actually be low-income housing tax credit properties. And so under the LIHTC rules, it's actually when you're leased up, your income is leased up under a certain AMI, if they 80%. You actually can go up to 140% before you even lose that 80% designation. So what that would mean for the project is super specific. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm cringing. Going into a real estate finance lesson, but what it means is the next rule, once that goes above 140, you're still technically allowed to stay, but the housing authority then needs to rent the next unit to someone who's so low that they can offset the fact that you're at you're off the chart.
With Liza, you only have to maintain that for 15 years to really renew it.
So we have a 30-year commitment. I think actually it's 40-year commitment. Yeah.
But you
And that-
would be able to transition it out of affordable housing if you so chose after 40 years.
That's you, you better. Yeah.
We hope things get better.
No, that's not necessarily true or not, but listen, 40 years is a long.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to carry you for 40 years.
Yeah.
My other two.
It'll take care of needs now.
Sorry,
It's
two other quick questions. There one, I'm just curious if you could run through the amenities, the building inside, like laundry or
Yeah.
shuttle.
Sure.
things like that.
We do
And then
have
I have
that.
one question.
No, that was fantastic. So we do envision the rebuild of the housing authority's offices here. Every one of these buildings will have generic amenities. So they will all have what's envisioned as their own version of a community space. There are different square footages in each of these buildings based on the different layouts. They will all have their own laundry services in each of the buildings, so no one's checking around with laundry. And then we will stagger gyms and bike storages and computer rooms in all the buildings. The hope is that they would all have these in each of the buildings. I think maybe that's how it's envisioned here. The only differences would be, for example, if we needed to extend, you know, the common room somewhere, or we needed to then end up like, creating like a maintenance office of some sort, like a security office, those kind of things. So we may lose like the bike storage in building A, but then everybody would be allowed to use the bike storage in building B, and we would be able to carve that out a little bit more. So the amenities will all be there. In addition, they'll have the exterior amenities that we were discussing before with the basketball court and the playground.
And then lastly, do you have an idea of the cost per unit?
Yeah, so the cost per unit is, right now, it's pretty, it's like, it's relatively normal, but it's pretty high. I think it's, we've got the underground parking. We are looking to also build it to what we call a stretch standard of sustainability. So these are all our biggest hopes, right? So we are hoping to incorporate geothermal. We're hoping to go down, you know, like 500, yeah, like so there's a lot of hopes on the table, right now for phase one, which is about 140 units. We're pricing out at about $104 million. Oh, I'm sorry, $104 million. So I'm not sure what per unit that comes out to, but that's where we are right now.
We're 138.
For 100,
48.
about 148 units, yeah.
I think we may have touched on this, but just to go back, in the buildings, we're also creating some space that we're hoping to use as community space, where we can bring in organizations that can provide services. And we've had some very preliminary discussions with organizations about that, but we're creating the space in the buildings to be able to do that.
In other words, like, mental health may have an office there. Social services, they have an office there.
Programs,
Right.
things like that.
Operation Unite. Something like that.
Yeah, there are a lot of organizations that can provide services. And, you know, that's where it's a little premature to get too much into it. We've had some ideas how much space we might need. You know.
In line with that, are you gonna have any retail space?
So we did carve out this commercial space, and it's 3,600 square feet. When we did reach out to, like, for example, Hudson Youth, some other like not-for-profit city-based, they did need more square footage than that, and I don't think that it's something we can give up as a trade-off to the unit at like right now. So we're open to it, but we don't have anyone like flag for this to be public commercial space. I mean, the social services groups, it would be wonderful to host them in this space. You know, like you're eating your community kitchen, it will have a kitchen build out, like things like that. So hopefully it'll be used in the community, but not a commercial component, at least right now, and nothing structured in terms of.
And we're not really convinced that this site is the site for that commercial. There are some sites that does make a lot of sense, but we'll look at it, but I'm not sure that's where we're going.
Well, there is no stores in the whole area.
No one, stores, that's fine.
Not only, there's walk through the lot.
That's fine.
All the comments are very appreciated. I don't know if that's appropriate, but please feel free to reach out to us with any questions.
Yeah, and we particularly, and you know, I don't think it's a surprise. We've had people say, oh, it's great, you're not gonna build a 9-story building with 7 stories, it's still too high. Okay, what is not too high? 5 stories might be okay for you, 3 stories might be okay. So we've had some comments along those lines, and those are things that we're looking at, and we're trying to balance. You know, we obviously have to get 135 units back to serve the people we have here. We want to add to that because this is an opportunity to provide additional affordable housing, that there's not a lot of opportunities to do that. But we don't want to go too high either, so we're balancing those, and if you have thoughts along those lines, you know, certainly let us know.
Well, I think, you know, grocery, you know, food.
Yeah.
Or, you know, rolling grocer or, like.
Just a good grocery store would be nice.
Decent grocery store.
Yeah.
In that area.
To serve that population.
Yeah.
That's a great.
Thank you for that.
You know, maybe with, like, I'm not saying rolling grocer, but I'm saying like rolling grocer has, it's like a sliding scale. Like an entity like that.
And I've actually seen it, they have a model like that in Denver and it's very nice.
And someplace where you can get a.
Who runs, I mean, is it an independent?
The community runs it, it's
Okay.
in the housing.
More like a co-op?
Right, right.
Of senior services.
But it'd be nice to be able to also to buy food, the same way to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that as well. Yeah.
Would you guys retain the management?
Yes.
Okay, so the housing authority.
So that you.
Daily operations and
Keep
management.
it safe. They can
100%.
leave.
And I'll go one step further just to make sure everybody's on the same page. Right now, we're in partnership with the housing authority, but the partnership provides that after 15 years, they can move us out and they'll have full ownership. Okay, which is a model that we've used before, it's a fair standard
So
model.
there'll always be kind of in control of it, yes. So when do you think you're gonna be bringing this to us?
I think we've got probably another 2 months of internal talking and discussion.
Do you have to go to zoning for it?
I would defer to you guys, I'm not sure about that. But before we can get to that point, we have to see if this is what we want to come back to you with, or do we want to come back with a 6-story building and 280 units instead of 300 units, or we need to go back to the board. We're also doing some geotech work, and doing borings on the sites to make sure that, you know, we have the engineering to figure out what can be done.
What is plan B if you can't do a deal with them?
Do you mean because of like the cost or like the actual
Cost.
feasibility of the soil?
Soil,
Yeah.
lots of things may come
So-
like this.
Yeah,
Isn't that on, you know, it's rumors, I don't know, but it may be not sitting on something that you could, that's safe to go under.
It's, you know, in construction, everybody says it's just time and money, okay? Time and money.
So anything can be done in time.
Anything
with
can
the right
be
amount of
done,
money.
yeah,
Okay.
money. The good thing is that the state, which is gonna fund the
Right,
project,
exactly.
knows how much the housing authority needs to do this. Has been very supportive of the work that the housing authority has done over the course of the last couple of years with its board to get itself in a position to do this and a new executive director. And the housing authority and the state, you know, understands costs and understands that there's a site cost that's unusual here. That's what you have to do. So I'm not saying they'll fund anything, but they're understanding.
Things like that, yeah.
Are you gonna do any community charrettes so that the tenants and the community has input?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that's the sort of the next step that we've been asked to put together a model, okay, that we can come. And, you know, we've had a couple of community meetings already, we'll have more.
Where do you have those?
You've had them at the housing authority
Okay.
and
Because I think you should consider doing it in the neighborhood. You know, or in Providence, I don't know.
I don't disagree with you. However, I think it's extremely important for the community to come see how the residents are living in the building. I think it's extremely important
Absolutely.
because the conditions are not ideal.
They've
And
never
some
been
people are, well, and some people are completely not in touch with
Yeah.
what is happening here. So we're certainly going to the community, but I'd like to I don't want to drive attention away from the building. In that aspect, in my opinion, I want to bring people to not just to come to the building to see how people live, but actually see the residents that are there and hear their.
Well, I think it's for the residents.
Sure,
So the residents should be involved in that
100%.
discussion from, I mean, I thought it was, I didn't understand, you know, the presentation in the Sparks building. Because it wasn't really addressing, not you all, it was a public, there was a public presentation. Invitation at a building, not with any of the people, none of the people that it was addressing were present, or maybe one or two.
She wasn't on the planning board at that time.
Okay.
She's talking about what she felt as a
Understand.
spectator.
But that's another reason why I would want to have it in the building so the residents that, you know, they lack resources, so they can come right downstairs. I have some residents that don't even leave their apartments. So it's very important that folks come to the building.
So how do you advertise it? I saw it one time on the community board that you were having a meeting. Yeah, your meet, when you do have.
Our regular meetings are on the city website, but you know, we are talking about different ways to market and advertise to the community.
To come and see
Yes,
for that, right, because I
yes.
saw it one time,
Right.
and, yeah, I was wondering.
But I presume that whenever you have a meeting down there, just like your regular meetings, they're
Yes.
all open to the public.
Yes,
Right, they are,
yes.
okay, and you're gonna let us know about these.
I think this should
Maybe
have
put it on the
something-
city, the city.
I definitely don't want, I won't hide it. I want people to come. We want to hear what input, as well as we want to create partnerships. So there may be people that have ideas who want to help us. And, you know, I have the concept of, you know, if you build it, don't come, just like the grocery store you're talking about. We put that out there, people here, it may not make you a good concept. How can I partner with the housing authority to do that in Monco? And we'd love to have that.
And just to go back to sort of combine both of your questions, so we think we're gonna go through a charrette process, show a model, have maybe 1 or 2 more community meetings before we come back to you. So it may be 2 months, 3 months, somewhere in that range, maybe a little bit longer, depending on how quickly we can do it.
Are you gonna bring that model here? Sure, at some point. Okay.
That was just, but you gotta pay.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be seeing you
Thank
again.
you for coming.
Thank you for
I
having
hope to
us.
see you sooner than. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
The meeting's not over.
I know you sent this.
Okay. Okay, our attorney and consultant is gonna leave us, because now it's all about ending. As he mentioned, well, we want to thank them for being here tonight. Thank you.
Do you want me to say?
No, but, we're good. The training is June 27th, right? Okay, no, we're good. Okay, we'll start. Does anyone have any questions about the training that's going to be given to us by our attorney? On June 22nd, it's gonna be Zoom,
Okay,
okay?
well, I'll send that to you.
And then I sent some training that costs money, that I was gonna ask them.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah, so if y'all wanna go, I'll just get a invoice and ask that the city pays for it, so so just let me know. I think it was $90.
No, but where was it?
I know.
Oh, yeah, it's a good training. And when is it? Again,
September or October.
okay. I think.
Yeah, you said you were gonna go. Okay. Okay, we're gonna have, I'm sorry for talking earlier, G. For the bills. Good night, thank you very much. Hey Linda, stay with us, we're still here.
Good night.
Night.
Okay, as far as the bills are concerned. I don't have an updated escrow account balance from the city treasurer. So I emailed them today to get an updated, spreadsheet. Get to receive it, based upon what I do have from last week. It was June 4th. 612 Hudson Avenue is short. 735 Columbia is short. 117 Fairview Avenue, which is the boulevards. We just got a $15,000 check.
Yeah, we just got that.
They were short,
How short were they?
$291.
Yeah. Well, one thing Gene and I do, we do not let it get bad, because then it gets confusing.
402, 461 is okay. Calaruso is okay. 601 Union. They were short $5,277.03.
they were short.
But they were asking for clarification, right?
Yeah, but, no, the boulevards was asking for clarification. Yeah, they're the ones that was when I had asked them, they're the ones I knew about. 601, we had already, given them, we took them off the public hearing last month. And today we did their resolution, but on their resolution, it says, I will not, nothing will get signed until they pay their escrow.
Okay, good. That's.
So they're not gonna get, they're not gonna get away, but I don't like it, it's not good for it to even get to this far. To this amount, and they've gone that far. Okay?
Right, there's a real finance in the.
Exactly,
consultants, so they
exactly,
have-
oh, they're waiting for their money,
Right,
okay? So we do try to keep on that.
309, 311 State Street is okay, Bill Street loss. We did get their $25,000 check. They're good, they got a 21,000 plus balance.
no, most of we did.
Was that?
Yeah, we did, they were here last month.
Yes, one,
And then they
Yeah.
pay us,
Right.
they did pay $25,000.
we're asking them
So they
to
have
on the State Street.
They have a balance of
Yeah.
$21,000.
Right, we asked 25,000 last month, and already 4,000 been used. Yeah, okay,
6 Lucille Drive is okay. And State Street loss,
we just asked them for two.
right,
This was their first time.
their balance after being paid this month was $475.
State Street loss.
Yeah. So I have,
Yeah, then that's what happened.
Wasn't this their
This
first
was
thing?
their first time. I want to say something else, we'll see it on the refurbish.
what's that? I got it somewhere, but I wasn't aware.
This was their first time, they don't have a balance.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Right, so I was that.
State Street lost, this is their first time presenting, and we just asked them for 25.
But maybe because it's the same company.
Yeah, well, that,
Maybe-
yeah, that's,
It's my mistake, I put it down as State Street loss,
and what is it?
it's 309, 311 State Street.
Yeah, they haven't been back.
Okay, so.
And then you have someone that wanted their money back.
Yeah, we have, it was three, projects that were closed out.
Which one of those? Well, just I keep track in my mind, what's.
Yeah.
Well, once I send the letters out, you won't get. And, that's, well, let me keep looking at it.
They don't want candy?
202, 204 Warren. 255, 259 Union. 26 Warren. 702, 704 Columbia. And 7 Dock Street.
We all approve those that have their escrow returned.
Right, it's just a matter of sending a letter out to the treasurer's office to release the funds.
Okay, so if anyone ever actually, yeah, it's been approved. It's back to it.
So. It's the unfortunate thing is that the escrow balance sheet that I got in the city treasurer was on the 4th of the month. And we went to the 10th, so there could be additionals that they can make themselves.
How often does she update you on our?
When we ask.
Can we just have like automatically weekly or month by month?
We tried doing that and they're not on par with it.
I don't think they have the personnel for that, but they give us what we ask.
Yeah, when we do ask for it, they give it to us. Unfortunately, I just had oral surgery this past week. And I haven't been doing much of anything. So it's kind of, I dropped the ball. I'm getting that escrow account balance for today's meeting.
So, that's okay, I appreciate you taking it over. So, you know, but,
You know, until I confirm, and verify these shortages, which will hopefully tomorrow, will send me a report. The ones that were short. I don't know if you want to act upon it now.
no, I still want to get approval to pay the bills.
Well, this is it,
All right.
but, you know, I don't have enough to account balance. So I'm saying-
What do we know?
Yeah, we'll just approve the bills and we can still go forward.
Right, approve the one, okay.
Okay, can I get a resolution to approve the current bills?
Second,
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, great, wonderful. Okay, so now you know we had minutes and, Ben, thank you so much for taking on the requests to just look at them. Because, you know, we're dealing with a lot of things and we just want to make sure it was right. So we had revised minutes that I sent you all for the month of April. Did you all get a chance to read them and go over them? Because I want to get a motion to approve them tonight.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, all in favor? Alright. So the revised minutes are approved, we'll send them to Linda and have her replace them with the drafted minutes. Because no minutes, you know, until we approve them, but she does post them as a draft.
Okay,
Until we approve them, that's when they go in for final, okay? And, the May minutes, I just got them, I didn't get a chance to look at them, so we're not gonna approve those, they will be posted as a draft. But they're not approved yet, okay? And Ben is gonna do the same thing. Thank you. Okay, reports, we have the Boulevard reports. The escrow report, we have that. Now the technology, we're gonna let Randall give us an update on what's happening with, the technology.
okay, so, at our last meeting, we spoke to the consultant. Or their team, and we went over the checklist. And how we're gonna integrate the checklist into the finished software. We had discussions about. How the checklist was gonna be implemented, whether we were gonna then refine it to have perhaps a shorter, less complicated checklist. And a larger, more comprehensive checklist.
Like the one that they gave us currently that our consultant attorney worked on, that one, and then something that's shorter for smaller projects. Yeah.
And so, but the thinking was that they wanted to do, that we decided to do the master checklist, the more complicated one first. And then pare it down and then make it smaller. And he showed us, we addressed a lot of issues where they were gonna add and provide info boxes, because the complicated checklist, it's much more comprehensive, and it needs explanation, you know, or even if you're not, and build it. Right. So they're gonna build in these abilities so that people, if they do have questions, they can step it quick click an info button that will give them an explanation or a link to a website and give them further information on how to fill out the particular thing. So they're gonna get back to us, and we should, the city should be approving it hopefully shortly. And
I think it's gonna be at their meeting on Monday next,
and then we're gonna.
They came up yesterday, it came up as a resolution yesterday,
Oh, did
they
it?
didn't vote on it, they just voted, I think for the formal meeting is how they do it.
Right, the formal meeting, okay, so it came on the resolution, so that means it's on the city council and they're gonna vote on it in their regular meeting.
Right, so if they want affirmatively, we should have it, and we should be able to kind of sandbox it within, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, which means we'll test it internally. And then refine it and then get it out to the public within, I hope, within 60 days.
Any questions about that? That's gonna bring us up into at least the 2000s.
No, it'll put us squarely where we need to be.
And I sent him, as far as the procedures, I did send the, you know, just making plain, worded procedures so the public can see. When they go online, they'll know. what do I do to get this? What do I do? Right now, it's so much confusion. It's amazing how people can, you know.
We do need to address, the depot district came up at the IDA. And we do need to address where, because I live there, and we live not live in a Gallup place, I recuse myself, from that, so. I'm suggesting that we have some sort of mechanism where, if an issue like that does come up at a meeting, we still need representation from the IDA. And then we have an alternate that can, that can speak into those things on those occasions. So we have to set up some sort of mechanism.
All right, I guess, anybody, any volunteers on it? For the IDA, since Randall, for an example, Randall lives in Gavin housing. So when Gavin comes up for the IDA, he automatically recuses himself, which, do you really have to?
Well, the mayor is at this point, and I just think that, I wanna make sure that we have no conflicts of
And that's true,
interest.
because it's not what it is, it's what it looks like.
Exactly, so.
So, and we need an alternate IDA member, a person.
Ben, Jean.
What's the commitment for that idea?
Once a month, and it's at what, 9:30 in the morning?
And I call, like I have to say, oh, this is gonna be on the agenda.
It's on weekdays.
So, yeah, we
That's why,
Yeah,
9 to 5.
well, if Ben can do it, like this is gonna be me. But that is, my problem is that,
Jean can do
What time is it?
oh gee, yeah.
it.
9:30. 10:30?
I would like, the easiest thing to get permission is for us to be able to do it, that piece, remotely by Zoom.
Yes, where they don't have to come out the house.
Right, and then for that issue, he can sub in for that issue, and then I can do the rest of the meeting.
Well, he's got a job.
That's right.
Well, if it's gonna be remotely, I can do that.
All right, well, let's see how we can make that happen.
If it could be, yeah, so
Unless you
you,
want to do it.
Let's see if that works, otherwise I can do it. I'll take it back up to the back.
next meeting.
IDA is next month, it's the first weekend of, first Wednesday.
Well, since you and I, okay, so what'll happen is I'll be the backup for you. And if it's something wrong with me, you'll be the backup for me. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, that makes sense. So you're gonna propose that to the IDA, let them know? Get
That's
that?
not an idea, I think that there's language in the common council that I think has to be worked out.
Okay,
So,
that makes
but I
sense.
talked to the mayor and the common council and make that decision.
Because we do need representation, right? Okay, and that's in our 4-hour training on June 27th. And you all got that other training, so if you wanna go, let me know so that I can ask for the payment. I think it's $90 per person. Yeah, September, October, Sunday.
And that, well, when we do the training on the 27th, that will count for 2 of those hours.
Two.
And we need 4, so.
We need 4.
So those other, that would give us a.
That'd be extra.
She can go.
She's doing,
She's 1 hour.
oh, she's doing 1 hour?
So we need 3,
I thought she'd do 1 hour.
that's what she does, 1,
Yeah.
I thought she did 2.
I thought it was going to, but it might be 1.
1, and this other training in September is
You should do 1.5,
2.5,
4.5.
it's 4.5.
You do all the training you need, plus a half of it. And it covers like 3 different things.
She got her locked out for 1 hour.
Yeah, it's probably enough.
All right, so we had 5, everybody would have over and above.
It's nothing.
No, I'm just, yeah, we might think it.
Here.
No,
I thought they said you could.
no.
No?
All right, so any questions from the board? Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion,
To adjourn.
yeah, I made a motion, so I got a second.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
We're good.
are we done? Jimmy, thank you, Ben, thank you,
End the meeting.
thank you for.
Anybody go online?
We're still in the meeting?
Yeah, just everything at home.